Good evening, everybody. It is Wednesday, September 13th, 2023. I want to welcome everybody back into the live show here on LTL Podcast. This is episode 95. And tonight we are going to do a review and debrief of the Danelo Cavalcante capture. It's pretty amazing. We can say capture. We've all been here. We've all worked really hard here in the chat. We've all spent long hours here in the chat streaming, trying to get all the best relevant information out there. And listen, a lot of people took the opportunity to stream. I think there's some really great streams out there, some really great content. And bravo to all those that participated in this. And, the viewers chose who they wanted to watch. And but I appreciate all of you being here for LTL Podcast, whether you're new or old. It's funny. I went back and I wanted to look today to see how many hours I actually put in streaming the Danelo Cavalcante coverage, and I actually got accurate total numbers on it. It was a total of, we thought it was 100, it's not 100. It was about half of that. 48 hours total coverage in total over like 7 days. So 48 hours of streaming, bringing good relative content out there to the folks of Pennsylvania. We had the power of the internet, the power of YouTube, the power of, those local streamers that were down on the area, JLR. We had Nick the Hat. We had some friends here that we met in the chat as well, too. We had Ryan, the drone guy, and his sidekick, Chuck, and they were down there feeding, good relevant information to us to get back to the people, some boots on the ground coverage. So I know that, a lot of people came in over that coverage, and I hope that you will stick around for LTL Podcasts because, not only did we cover this, we cover other true crime. We also get into scams and deceptions, and we have some really great interviews over here as well. So I know that you might have subscribed during that time, but I hope you will stick around and give this channel a chance, because I think that we can give you some good, relevant content out there that you'll enjoy. So what I want to do this evening is I have an article first from USA Today that we'll pull up, and then I have about 2.5 hours of review from early this morning into the press conference, and then just some thoughts. And what I wanted to use was, we could go to the mainstream media, but I wanted to use a feed that was right in the heart of the area. We'll use ABC6 in Philadelphia. They did an excellent feed, about a 2.5 hour feed this morning. And I get it. People come and go. It's fine. I understand that. It's okay. But we're going to get the review through the local media. I think that's the only thing, the right thing to do here. What I also want to do tonight is I think we're going to give away the lucky can of corn to a viewer out there tonight. And I'll sign it. And then what I'll do is I'll mail this out as kind of a souvenir for this stream out to a lucky viewer. We'll do a contest on this later. And I think that that'll be fun. A little LTL podcast memento. So you can put that up on your mantelpiece. The Cornello corn, the Cornello can of corn. So that'll be fun. And, I'll sign it. We'll get it out to someone. I think that'll be really fun to do that. Okay. Let's look up in the chat, just see what we got in here really quick before we get on with the show. Gosh, a lot of people in here already. Bella saying, Brian, I think your magic can of corn worked. Yes, we need a can of corn for an emoji. All right, I will work on that. Brenda's over here. Heather checking in, Auto checking in. Wanted to see him caught live too. So happy that he got caught, especially for the state of Pennsylvania. Absolutely. Mindy in here. Maggie said, I watched this every night for the past 14 days. I'm going to be lost without all of this action now. So glad for everyone that it's over and it's a great job. And it's kind of strange. I must say it is very strange for a creator as well too, because we have that, that creator's high. And we want to get in here and we want to stream and we want to get everybody in here watching us. And it's strange. You go through, and I'm going to be really honest with you. And I don't think any creators really ever talked about this. You go through a lot of highs and lows on a YouTube channel as a creator. And it's very peaks and valleys in this business. And when you have a hot case and you're going hot, and you're getting new subscribers and you're getting good relevant information out there and you have people in your chat and it's active, man, you are on a high, a complete high. But then when that comes to an end, and I don't want to sound selfish or anything, but when that comes to an end, and thank God that this convicted murderer is caught and everybody is safe in that community, you almost get like, I want to say it's almost like a little depression. It's kind of strange, because now it's like, okay, now I got to go on to the next piece of material for the channel and try to get that interest of everybody else to come over and see what you're doing and be curious into what you're doing. So it is a very strange uh, platform. It's a very strange platform where you have these kind of peaks and valleys. And I'll be honest with you, before Danelo Cavalcante, we were slipping a little bit, and then we had the opportunity. We jumped back up, and everybody got charged up and interested about the channel, the content, and they were loving it. And joining in, we had a lot of new subscribers, and that's why I said, look, I understand a lot of locals probably came over here to watch the feeds, and I encourage you to stick around because I think that you'll get a lot of value out of this channel. So yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting it's like an adrenaline high. Yeah, Boots Mama says like coming down from an adrenaline high. It is. We were all on that. We were all on that high for a little while. Kathy checking in saying thanks for the congrats on the 10,000 subs. Thank you so much. My awesome monitor here, Carrie H is in the room. Lily Black, Teresa's hanging out over here. Jessica's in the chat. Candy says Colonel Canelo has spoken. That's great. Sydney's in the chat as well, throwing up the corn. And that's, it's about that, to have a little buzz and a little, a joke that we can kind of joke about in these situations. That we brought out the magic can of corn last night and we were rubbing it and just having a little fun with it because it was going long and we wanted to make sure that this guy got caught. The reward money should go to all the canine officers for vest for whatever they need. I actually agree. That's 100%. Let's see who else. A lot of people. Dr. Bob in the house. Thank you, Dr. Bob, for being here as well. My brother from another mother, Ron Jones, in here as well. Thank you. Barb checking in. Brian put in so many. Yeah, 48 hours. I actually got the accurate total. 48 hours. Chuck checking in. Chuck was boots on the ground down there. Thank you, Chuck. Mary here. Thank you, Mary. Dina here. Jude checking in. Hello from Northwest Wisconsin. Great to be able to breathe a sign of relief. Absolutely. Tracy's in Arizona. Thank you. Candy's checking in. Starlight. Rarely comment, but glad they caught him. Thank you. Deb checking in. So glad he's in custody and feeling safer now and here in Pennsylvania. Well, it's great to have you here. Heather says she's new. Good to see you, Heather. Tsunami said, this dude's a loser. He never gave up. Nikki checking in. Yeah, that canine was a real. Yeah, and we can't forget Fox 29, Chris's F bomb. That was great. That's really funny. Yes, the can of corn. That is one lucky can of corn. Hell yeah, we're gonna give it out to someone tonight. Minnesota Nice says the corn. Barry checking in, a local. Barry says, Brian, that is a great idea, man. Children of the Cavalcante. Yes, children of the Cavalcante. Mary checking in from UK. Nice to see you, Mary. I'm getting there. Today was a very emotional day for me. Um, I'm going to be changing jobs soon in about 2 weeks. And if I was going to say something about it, I'm actually probably a little depressed. I'm a little depressed over it. It's not somewhere where I fully wanted to leave, and I thought that I could work something out with my boss, and we just couldn't come to a conclusion or resolution. I do have an outward going interview with HR on Monday, so maybe they can gather some information. It's usually those are not That's usually the last step. They just want to see like what could they do, what could they do better. I don't think they're going to be there to change my mind. I have accepted another offer. My offer letter should come through tomorrow. um, I'm a little depressed because it's been a company that I've been wanting to work for a long time, and it just didn't work out. And it's just such a crazy, unfixable situation. And I'm getting older, and I don't have the fight in me anymore. So I think I'm going to take a step back for a little while and reevaluate my life. I had to take a little bit of a hit in salary because my position will be lower in this new company, but I will get by. I will find a way. And, maybe it's a transitional job until I kind of let things relax a little bit and sort things out, and maybe possibly put myself back out there in the role that I was in before. But it's going to give me, I believe in fate. I believe in all things happen in life for a reason. I'm not completely convinced right now of making the right move, but it was the only available move at this time, and I didn't really want to stick around too much longer. And I wish maybe something could have been worked out, but uh, me and my leader are just not seeing eye to eye in the situation, and I gave my resignation today. So I will be resigning as of the 26th. I was hoping it was going to be a little earlier, but I want to give my proper 2 weeks. I'm going to take a few days off to regroup, and then I will be starting my new job on the 1st or the 2nd. So it sucks, but it is. Mystic Mama says time to decompress. All right, let's not. I appreciate everybody in the chat. I see everybody's chats here, and life changes suck. I mean, I've only been with this company for a month. It's a company that I've been wanting to work for a very long time. It has great benefits. My salary is excellent, and I'm a little sad to go. I'm a little sad to go, but I just think that it's a unfixable situation at this time. Not anything on my accord. Um, I think it's all the minds that are in place are seeing things in a completely different way. And I think when I looked at my boss today, I wish there was a more of a step up. Okay, what do you need? Let's fix this situation. Let's do it in a week. Let's work hard together and let's do it in a week. What do we need? And I got a lot of deflection when I questioned. I got a lot of deflection, and I don't deal with deflection well because I like ownership, and I always take ownership when I'm wrong. I say, I am wrong. I apologize. Let's fix this. Let's work together. And I got a lot of deflection. I did this. I did this. I did this. You are. And I don't deal with that well. I When I looked at my leader today, it would have been like, I hear you. I recognize you. I apologize. Let's fix this now. It's urgent. And I didn't get any of that today. So I was a little disappointed. And this is not something that just happened immediately. It's been building, and I have been notifying my boss and writing very detailed uh, emails about the situation. So I think it's going to be something that we'll get some further discussion on Monday. I don't think it will go anywhere, but as long as they know. And hopefully, maybe someday down the road, that I can return to that company because it's a big company and it has some great benefits. And I really enjoyed what I had, but I just think it's an unfixable situation. So, enough about me. I digress. Let's get to the topic at hand. I'm sorry that you all had to sit through that, but it was nice to kind of get some of that off my chest and let you guys know a little bit about my personal life. I tend to shed a little bit more as we get more comfortable with each other and let you know. Yeah, I didn't like the deflection. That's not cool because I'm one to always own when I fuck up. Hey, I fucked up. I'm sorry. Let's fix it, you know? And it's just been something that's building up, and that's it. All right, let's get into Danelo Cavalcante. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate you. Thank you. I appreciate everybody. I'm seeing everybody here. And listen, maybe this is the right choice. Maybe this is a choice that's being put in front of me to get me further to doing YouTube full time. I believe in that. I believe in things that are I believe that all things happen for a reason. I truly believe that. And I believe that things are put in front of us where we need to take the right path or the left path. And our life will dictate where we go. And maybe this opens up new doors. Maybe this opens up new adventures. Maybe this opens up more time for me to do more podcasting and be here more. Maybe this opens me up to new opportunity, new people. I'm scared. I'm scared as hell. Starting over again, I just started over last year and now I'm starting over again and I'm not getting younger. And it's not like I'm 20 anymore. I'm now going to be 46 in March. So it's getting that scary age of starting over. And it's just been a lot. It's been very stressful. It's been very stressful. So anyway, I digress on that. Let's move into the program. I'm sorry that I took up 17 minutes of your all time, but I appreciate you all listening and letting me kind of decompress a little bit. All right, let's get into Danelo Cavalcante, the review of what actually went on here from USA Today. The nightmare finally over. Danelo Cavalcante caught with technology. Police dogs live updates. Let's play this little 1 minute and 56-second clip. And there he is. Thank
We
you.
had been searching an area not far from there already with some tactical teams that night. There was an aircraft overhead utilizing FLIR technology, and close to 1 a.m. picked up a heat signal that they began to track. Unfortunately, we had a weather system that also came in, and we had lightning that was flashing all around, and it caused the aircraft to have to depart the area. Tactical.
Now, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm I'm pointing. This guy right here. I'd definitely be pulling him in and asking him a lot of questions because that was the lookout. And if it's a gang affiliated person, they need to talk to him. And I'm going to tell you, I think as this investigation goes, you're going to find out he had a lot of help on the outside. Whether we know about it, whether they let us know about it, I don't know. But I think that he had a lot of help on the outside. And I'm going to tell you why I think that. I thought that all along. We started saying that on like day 2. Detective John and I, when he was on the panel, we were talking about it. I started asking all you. But I think the one that really kind of honed me in on it was one of the last, or maybe second to last JLR stream. Remember when he left and he went to that Wawa, and then he kind of drove off from the Wawa into some back road. He saw some vehicles that were all lined up. I don't think there was any law enforcement there. And he started talking to those locals. And he said, "Hey, what have you been hearing around here?" It sounded like three individuals, and they said they didn't want to be on camera. But remember, they started showing the new photos of Cavalcante. Now, I'm not saying any of those gentlemen involved, but I was listening. And they said, what we heard was, one, he was a construction worker, and two, that he was staying up in a church that was in that area that he had been working on. And then they were talking about, I think it was either the sister or the stepsister, had worked in and around that area as a maid for a lot of the houses around there. So she knew what houses were occupied. She knew what houses were vacant. And she probably knew how to get into a lot of those houses because she had been in there. So and that's where things started kind of solidifying, because if the locals were hearing that on the street and that was getting around, I definitely feel this guy 100% had help. All right, let's keep playing this video here.
Teams made a decision to secure that area, that smaller area, as best they could and hold it through the storm. And shortly after 8 a.m., tactical teams converged on the area where the heat source was. They were able to move in very quietly. They had the element of surprise. Cavalcante did not realize he was surrounded until that had occurred. That did not stop him from trying to escape. He began to crawl through thick underbrush, taking his rifle with him as he went. No one was injured as a result of that. Excuse me. He did sustain a minor bite wound. We had medical personnel at the scene, and they took a look at that. He was transported to our Avondale station for further processing and interview, and he will ultimately be transferred to a state correctional institute where he will be housed and begin to serve his life sentence.
All right, so we have that video here. Let's go out to, I'm not sponsored by this. So Danelo Cavalcante, the convicted murderer who broke out of Pennsylvania prison nearly 2 weeks ago, was captured Wednesday, concluding an exhaustive manhunt that bore down on the rural areas of the state, closed schools, and jangled the nerves of local residents. And I'll be honest with you, when I started to get and understand the ruralness and the topography of Pennsylvania, especially that area, I didn't realize that it was wooded, that it had tons of these cornfields, that there were briar bushes that went forever. The rolling hills. I've never even heard of that. The rolling hills of Pennsylvania. Never even heard of that before. But to understand what law enforcement had to deal with there, then you're going to add in the elements like rain and lightning and heat and bugs and shorter sunsets, shorter daylight. I think law enforcement did an amazing job. They caught this guy with under 30 days. And I think they truly believed in their capabilities in the last 48 hours. And when things were narrowing down and we knew he was in that area of Phoenixville, kind of running around, I said, they're going to get this guy because he couldn't get out of that containment area. He was contained. And I think the biggest mistake that he made, I think the biggest opportunity he had, and I don't like to say things like this, but I'm just kind of throwing this scenario out. The biggest opportunity he had to get further away, not that I would want that to happen, but just hear me out here. The biggest opportunity I think he had, because we were talking about this at work today, was when they were down near Longwood Gardens, the botanical garden, and they were staged in that area for a couple of days. It was like 3 days. He knew a way to slip out of that area, and he had been running around and avoiding law enforcement, but he ended up getting out of that area, and he snuck up, what was it, 2 miles up to get that dairy truck. At that point, that was his mistake, because instead of leaving and fleeing the area and trying to get out his away as further, because all those law enforcement were contained in that area at the point, if he would have kept going, this guy probably could have been in Florida, Texas, or even Mexico at this time. That's what I believe. I truly believe that. But what he made his mistake was he ended up going where his friends and family were, up in that Phoenixville area. And once he got up there, he got trapped. And that's why he couldn't get out. That's what I believe. So, yeah, what a wild ride. So it goes into Cavalcante was apprehended at 8 a.m. after a heat signal and detected hours earlier by a plane with thermal imaging camera in west of Pennsylvania, Route 100 north of Prizer Road. Pennsylvania State Police Lieutenant Colonel George Bevins said at a news press conference. The plane zeroed in on Cavalcante's location after a burglar alarm alerted authorities to his presence shortly after midnight. After awaiting out a storm overnight, law enforcement closed in and only in an area on Wednesday. Hey, wait a second. I just thought about something. Wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's go back and look at something here. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I want to see when he spider monkeyed up that wall, because I want to look at, and I'm not going to tell you yet, but I want to look at something here. We'll wait for this ad to get out of the way. And then I want to play this video again, and show you something. Okay. All right. All right. I see him here. Okay. Now let's take a look when he spider monkeyed up that wall, because maybe I'm seeing something. All right. I want to see that. Let me find that video. Let me find that video, because I'm thinking something here. Because maybe this proves my theory. Aha. Now I want to show you all something, and maybe you've noticed it yet. Maybe you've noticed. And I talked about help. His hair. Minnesota sees it. His hair. You got my point. His hair. It's braided. And when he ran, guess what? It's not braided. He had cornrows. So that tells me he was in contact with someone. His sister? Or lady friend? Yeah. Because I just realized it when I looked. Someone helped him. And that's probably why his sister got picked up. Because we know ICE went and picked her up. But let's take a look. See, the hair is full. It's full. Now, granted, he may have braided himself, but I'm going to tell you, I don't think he had elastics out in the field with him. Let's go back. Let's look. Watch his hair. See it? It's floppy. It's not braided. See? Right there. Boom. Boom. See it? It's full. It's full. Now, if we go back to the capture video today, boom, braided. Braided. Look at that. Braided. See it? Braided. I think so too. He was at his sister's house or a lady friend. That's what I think. That's what I think. That's what I think. Okay. Let's play some review and let's get right to the moment. Cavalcante caught.
Longwood Gardens. And the other day on Sunday, Lieutenant Colonel Bivens was asked about that, and he did confirm that they did receive blueprints from Longwood Gardens so that they could explore the piping that is, underneath there to see if there was a possibility that he entered through that piping system. Now, Friday night of last week, that's when they thought that he was in the perimeter of Longwood Gardens, right?
Thank you, Jay
And I
Lloyd.
was out there.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I've heard any creators talk about that yet. I don't even think JLR has even talked about that. And JLR is usually pretty good on this stuff. But I think that he cleaned up at his sister's house or a lady friend's house. I don't think he did this with a break-in. All right, let's keep playing.
We had to kill our live shot because there was so much lightning. And probably about 11:45, it was like a torrential downpour. And I was talking to Tom Kelly, who's one of our photographers that I was working with, and I said, he's going to use this. He's going to use this torrential downpour to try to shield him from view, because you couldn't see in front of you. And even if with all those troopers that were out there along the perimeter, if some of them were in vehicles, they might just not have been able to see if he were to dodge in front of them. So they think one of the potentials of how he breached that perimeter, if you will, out of the Longwood Gardens area could have been under the cover of the rain, or was it through the piping system? So there's still a lot of questions about that they're probably hoping to get answered too. And I'd be curious to see how forthcoming he is with a lot of his information about how he was able to stay on the run so long and make movements. And so when he breached that perimeter, going back to last Friday or Friday to Saturday, when he left that area and then he stole that dairy van from Bailey's Dairy Farm, that was about 3/4 of a mile.
All right, let's do this. Put in the hashtag corn, hashtag corn. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign the lucky can of corn, Colonel Corn, and we'll get this out to a lucky viewer. So hashtag corn, and we'll get this. We'll run the contest in a little bit, maybe halfway through the show. And I'm gonna sign it and send it out. The lucky can of corn. This is the corn. This is the corn that caught Danelo Cavalcante. This is the corn, because last night we rubbed it, we consulted it, we consoled it, we put it up on the mantle, and that's the lucky can of corn. That is the lucky can of corn. We're going to sign it and get it out to a viewer. All right, you got 24 entries. Keep getting it in there. Hashtag corn.
From the Longwood Gardens perimeter. And when he stole that van, that's where he was able to make it about 20 miles to the East Dampnell Township area. And so yesterday, I'm talking with one of the investors.
Again, I'm going to make a correction. Someone was right. It didn't look like he had elastics in his hair. I just did look over some pictures. You are right. But it doesn't necessarily mean that someone didn't braid his hair, because it looks like someone braided his hair. So I think he definitely had some help.
Investigators, I said, well, wow, doesn't that makes it so that he's smart enough to move, he's smart enough to get out there? And the investigator said something very telling.
I don't think he's going to say anything.
Yeah, but he wasn't
Why
smart enough to drive away from drive out of Pennsylvania. So why would you go to an area where people? I guess in his mind it was to try to get help because he needed resources. But their point was, if he was really smart, he would have driven out of the state and figured out a way to get a couple states away, because that would have made it really difficult. But initially on Sunday, when all
he'll face those charges,
happened,
he'll face those charges.
Was a
Lynn
thought
says this is being
that
reported,
at that
reported.
point he was going to get captured. And so Sunday, the
See
momentum was
that deep
really high,
thicket,
and then
all that
Monday
deep
evening, the
woods?
momentum was really high. And I will also tell you that investigators were really concerned, and that's an obvious conclusion you can come to, obviously, because there was a homeowner who fired shots who was put in danger because he was in front of this escaped murderer who now, had stolen his weapon. So the cause for concern has always been high by investigators, but the desperation and its level of desperation, as that climbed to get higher, there were fears about who could get hurt.
I think he had help.
Could a member of law enforcement get hurt? A member of the community get hurt? And as they inched closer and closer, and this kept going on and on, the odds of that happening were higher. So I have so many questions for Danelo Cavalcante. I mean, this whole escape has just been, it's fascinating to watch from a media perspective. Just the fact that he was even able to get out of that facility, the sheer will to be able to climb up on the wall, run across the roof, jump out, walk onto a main road in plain sight, calmly. They initially said the reason why he was spotted was that it was a prison employee that was driving by that happened to notice him because of what he was wearing. What if that hadn't happened? How much of a lead would he have had? Would he have still stayed within the area that he knew best? But again, 8:15 is around the time that he was captured.
Well, Ali Rezis is given the region he was in. I would not be surprised if he crashed one or two drug houses and took the sweatshirt, among other things. That's a great,
hiding under foliage.
Great point out there.
Again, that perimeter was that one that was established on Monday after those most recent.
He definitely had some help.
Where the homeowner
this dude definitely had some help.
Shots, at him. That homeowner did live on Coventryville Road, but that was within that perimeter. That includes PA 23 to the north, PA 100 to the east, Fairview
Thank
and
you. It
Nashville
was a wild journey. We were all here for it.
And County Park roads to the west.
Total of 48 hours streaming on this case.
Perimeter. And
Crazy.
Again, last night around midnight, you started to hear a lot of that scanner traffic talking about tracking a heat source. And there was
that
a lot
thick
of
underbrush.
It was a little cooler last night, and from what I was told from investigators, that is better conditions, more ideal conditions for that type of technology.
What's up, Ethan?
Really,
how are you?
What you're tracking out there is, I'm sure,
Thank you
when
for
you
checking
have
everything out
monitoring heat sources on the ground over a very, very big area.
We're doing a debrief and review.
Square mile area of thick vegetation where there's also a lot of wildlife. I'm sure there's a lot popping up there: coyotes, deer, what have you.
Thank you, Ali. Appreciate
but it sounds like they were successful in finally tracking him down. Again, it was State Police's tactical team, their Border Patrol tactical team, and a number of those federal agencies sent over some of their tactical teams as well. The FBI has had their SWAT team out there. U.S. Marshals, their national team, I believe, was expected to arrive either yesterday or today. By the way, and I don't think they were involved in this arrest, but
real quick, if you're new coming into the chat, I'm going to give away a gift. And if you were here last night, you'll understand what this is. This is the lucky can of corn that we rubbed like a magic 8-ball. We were shaking it and doing our predictions. If you type the hashtag corn, I'll sign this and I'll get it out to a lucky viewer. We're gonna do a contest later where we draw a name. Someone in the room will get that out to the winner. But this became kind of the joke last night, and it's funny. We started rubbing the magic can of corn, and what happened this morning? He got caught. So I think this would be a nice little gag gift. We'll get this out to someone, and hopefully someone will get this. But if you want to take part in the joke, hashtag corn, we'll get you entered into the contest. We'll do a drawing here just in a little while.
For the Eric Freen manhunt, which I was just talking about.
It was the child of the corn.
It was, I believe, the U.S. Marshals national tactical team that actually found Eric Freen. So, but again, back to today, day 14, 8:15 this morning. This is all coming to a conclusion. Still want to get some more.
I want to give it to someone. I think it'd be fun. We'll give it out to someone. It was a fun joke.
And I was saying
we'll give it out to someone.
Just a short time ago.
Outlander.
What the possibilities are, and what
I love it,
was told
Lindy.
initially is that the possibilities are if he is injured, seriously injured, then he would have to go to a hospital. If
That's
he
great, Crafty.
doesn't have any
Good
serious
stuff.
injuries, but this is a guy that's been out for 14 days, and if he's in the custody,
Yeah,
what?
and those
Want to take this call? Can I talk back
yes,
to you guys?
Annie, yes, stand by because
get back to you, okay?
Thank you, Annie.
Thanks,
And
Annie.
we are getting a statement from Chester County Commissioner Marian Moskowitz. She's releasing this statement saying the capture of Cavalcante ends the nightmare of the past 2 weeks. We thank every single law enforcement official at the regional, state, and federal level that was out in all.
Let me ask you something. Let me just ask some of my Pennsylvanians that are watching this evening. How do you feel about the response? Do you feel good about it? Do you think that maybe some of the higher up leaders, like the governor, should have stepped up a little bit earlier? Let me know in the chat. Or are you completely content as to how it was handled? I'd be curious to see what all of my Pennsylvanian viewers would think about it. Let us know in the chat. You're down in that area. How do you feel that it was handled? I think law enforcement did an amazing job. I think that they were diligent. They worked hard. They worked long. They were in that heat, in the rain. Obviously you saw the terrain of the area. I'll be honest with you. I think that personally, in my own opinion, I think the governor could have got out a little bit earlier on this and spoke to the people. I think Shapiro had an opportunity to get out a little bit earlier. 2 weeks, little crazy. It should have been within like a week, 5 days, 3 days. Governor comes out, says something. They should have deployed, I believe, at that point. They were talking about sending in the National Guard, 1,000 extra troops. And I think that could have been earlier on as well, too, maybe a weekend. But that's just my own opinion. So I know a lot of people are upset. I think Governor, I think, Bella has it right. It was just 2 weeks later, 2 weeks too late. I completely agree. But let me all know how you feel.
Weather conditions all day, all night. They went on to say that the Chester County prison officials have made some immediate changes to bolster security in the prison, have brought in security contractors to make permanent changes to the exercise yards, and are reviewing and, where needed, changing procedures for both security measures and communication to residents who live close to the prison. On Monday, I was at the news conference in Unionville, Matt, and I was speaking with law enforcement, and I said, now that it's been, at that time had been 12 days, now that it's been 12 days, this investigation has been ongoing, the search is ongoing. Where are we at with the Chester County prison, and where were the weaknesses within their system and their infrastructure?
Yes, we are live.
Kind of enable
we are
something
live.
like this to happen. How was
this
he
is a
able to get out?
live show, my friend.
Kind of making his way up the wall to get over. But where are the weaknesses there? We know there were weaknesses in the perimeter that were set up, and they said those are weaknesses that they just could not get around.
I understand that.
Moving forward,
Ollie's got a good point.
Prison going to assess that, and now we're learning that they are.
We can quarterback this all we
stakes so high with the prison, with the people who live around it. The stakes were so high with anyone who lived around the search areas, worried that an individual who was convicted of murder was believed to be carrying around a rifle, and already someone had shot at someone matching his description. Chad Perdelli has been covering this story for us as well, and he joins us live on the phone with some of his own information and reporting. Chad, good morning.
Great. We love hearing this.
Good morning, Matt. Yeah, obviously this is a very fluid situation. I'm talking to sources as we speak, and information is coming in.
50-50 in the chat.
Cavalcante was captured a short while ago near Route 100 and Prizer Road. I'm told by sources that tactical teams, outside the Pennsylvania State Police and the Pennsylvania State Police team found his whereabouts using some thermal technology. You got to remember, overnight, some of the temperatures have actually dropped a bit compared to what we've seen over the past week and a half or 12, 13, 14 days. So they were able to use that thermal technology overnight, find his whereabouts. I'm told he was found under a log. Those tactical teams obviously found his location, began to move in.
So Ali Reza's asking, can we get a few upvotes for another membership drop? Up to about 150 seems perfectly reasonable to him. So we're at 107. We get up to 150, we're going to get a drop.
going to be going
Drop
to
top.
the Pennsylvania State Police
Drop
Avondale
top.
Barracks. The
Let's
interview
smash
process
that
will then
like
begin
a
to learn more
button.
information
It's free to
about
leave
how
your DNA.
was on the lam for 14
It's free
days
to
until
leave
his
your
capture
DNA.
here today. But certainly a relief for everyone living in that area. It's been a long 14 days to get him in
If
custody,
it's
but
free, it's for me,
certainly
right?
Pennsylvania
Is
State
that what everybody
Police and law
says?
enforcement across the
If it's
region are
free,
relieved
it's
that
for
they
me.
finally captured this guy, and it looks like
Smash
finally
that
the weather
I like a
cooperated. That,
button.
you've been dealing with rain. There's been fog at night that has hindered the efforts as law enforcement has tried to move in and capture him. But yesterday when they got that real
If it's
time
free,
tip
it's for
when he
me.
had that encounter with the homeowner and stole that rifle, that was a real key
Thank
moment
God no one
because
got
they've been
hurt
waiting
during that.
to get real time tips. Some of the other
That's
tips
scary.
were delayed by a couple of hours, so obviously he had a chance to move
Let's get
and
it up
to
to
get away.
150.
But once that
150
real time
likes.
tip, they
And then we'll
began
get
to
some
squeeze his location
memberships.
using that
New
thermal
members.
technology. They were able to pinpoint his location, and they found him under a log. And now Danelo Cavalcante is in custody, and certainly a relief to everyone living in that region.
We're only what, 25
Chad,
away?
it's incredible to hear kind of the details that you're getting from the
Like
tactical teams
26
about
likes
using thermal
away.
technology,
Let's
finding him
smash the
under a
like a
log.
button.
We've known all along that because of his size, 5 foot, 120 pounds, it's very easy for him to get into small, tiny crevices to hide. So that worked to his advantage. Law enforcement on Monday saying that while they were working on Danilo Cavalcante's game, now it's law enforcement's
look at
game.
that
They were
terrain.
working the long game. They said he was growing more
Crazy.
desperate. So I'm
Thank you,
happy that
J-Board.
led to his capture. We do have some reverse 911 calls that were sent out to
20
residents this morning.
more
Law enforcement
upvotes
said
would
they
be
would notify
great.
residents
It's free.
when they captured him. Let's
It's
take
free
a listen
to
to
do
those
it.
calls.
Thank you,
This
Jude.
is an important message from Ready Chesco. Please do not hang up.
This is a message from the Pennsylvania State Police. The search for Danelo Cavalcante is over.
That's
the
great.
subject is now in custody.
Yeah, imagine hearing that when you wake up in the morning around that search area. So that's what went out to all the residents out there. Chad, I know you're still with us. And you said a couple of times he was found beneath a log. It's like the most primitive place for one to hide when you have all the technology that the police were using to try to find him. That
So
kind of
Bulldog
stuck
checking
out to
in.
me, that his downfall was basically sitting in the middle.
Bulldog checking in, saying, I'm Brazilian and I live in Chester. The police did a good job. The guy is used to the jungle. He grew up cutting sugarcane in the forest, and he was a piece of work. Well, I'm glad that you're safe. It's the most important thing. We're glad you're safe. Yeah, the Bortat canine. Yeah, part of the border control. Let's get to 11 more likes up. 11 more likes up. Let's give some follows to my friend Ollie too. When we get to 150, we're gonna drop some memberships.
So they could really move in and know
Members.
exactly where they're going to go. Because
The 10K celebration. 10K.
if you didn't have maybe some of that technology, you could walk right by him. I mean, that's how deep the brush is in that entire region.
It is hard.
So it was
is hard.
really helpful for him in his escape and to be on the run for those 13, 14 days.
Only 4 more
likes.
likes.
Got him, and now the investigative process will play out, and they'll obviously try to learn more about how he was able to escape, learn more about how he was able to break their perimeter, and learn more about.
You're gonna get a hat.
Going through these searches, because state police have conducted a number of these over the years. You think of Freeing up there.
We got killed on that stream in the comments because we were all wearing hats. Everybody was like, when we were the Anthony stream, we all had hats on, and they're all like, guys with backwards hats. So what everybody kept saying. I think guys with backwards hats. Excuse me.
The public obviously is like, why can't you catch this guy? But it's really not that easy, and they're doing their best, and they're trying to squeeze him and find him, but it can be very difficult, and you have to.
Those are my boys on that channel.
Information. I'm sorry to interrupt. Stand by 1 second. We want to bring Annie McCormick back in. Annie, I know that you had to go because you were getting some calls and some messages. What are you learning right now?
We have a little bit more information, and this is interesting. So that perimeter that they established on Monday, the one that we've been talking about, we show our viewers the map of it. They actually made an even smaller perimeter within that perimeter last night. Some storms came through.
Thank you, Michelle. I
And then
appreciate
this
you.
morning when they went in, it was a dog that was
Let's
part
make
of
sure
the
we up,
state police
though.
and tactical
20
team,
coming
border patrol
in.
tactical team, and
20
it was that
coming
dog
in.
that got a hit.
Give
And
it an
now I'm
upvote.
told
One
that
more.
he was under not only foliage but also a pile of logs, and that's where the dog did locate him. Now there's some reports that he was bit by the dog. I don't know whether or not that is true yet. If he was bit, again, he will get medical attention, and he's going to be taken now to State Police Barracks Avondale. And then from there, depending on obviously the severity of his injuries, he will be transported.
Thank you, Ali. Appreciate you. Thank you.
And again, we're
Thank you so
earlier,
much.
I was,
20
about
new
how,
members
the
coming in
normal
hard.
protocol is to take
20
them
new
to,
members.
You would take somebody to the
Let's
county.
do it.
But in this situation, obviously he proves that he can get out of
Thank
it.
you.
So that's why they're just going straight ahead, saying we're just going to put him into the state institution.
1 month free by my main man, Ali.
The idea of it. But so they're going to take
Thank
him
you.
to Avondale and then
Thank
that
you.
facility, SDI Phoenix, over by Greater Ford.
Thank you, Ali. I appreciate you. Thank you.
There's so many times
Thank
that
you.
probably groups went through with a K9 team and that got hit, on his staff.
Thank you, Ali.
And
Appreciate you.
over the past couple of days, also too with the public, I don't think realize, and as we're starting to learn more information and more details are coming out about what happened over the past 14 days, is how close investigators were several times to getting him. And in one instance in Longwood Gardens, I've heard from some sources that they were incredibly close, to the point that they themselves were incredibly frustrated. So the momentum builds each time that there's a near capture. And
Yeah, I do have a small wrist.
The momentum built, and they were ready to go. That's why Monday night, I mean, we really thought that was going to be the night. But it sounds like
I do have a small
they
wrist.
were patient. They had that technology that was up. Again, we were talking about the one that
Let's
can
throw up that
monitor
corn.
heat on
Throw
the
up that
ground.
corn in the chat. Let's
That
see it.
role, they were hoping to track
Throw up
him
that
using
corn in the
that,
chat.
last evening. And I
Are
think
you
from
with me?
using
Throw up that
they were
corn.
able to pinpoint and then make that smaller perimeter.
We are
within
getting a
the
hurricane.
perimeter
We
that
got a
we
lot
were
of flooding
showing you
today.
yesterday. Again, that
Saturday
was
it's supposed to be bad.
PA 23 between PA 100.
Not yet. We haven't done it yet. We'll do it soon.
Was within
Maybe at
that
10.
area,
10 o'clock
and
we'll do it.
also Iron Bridge and County Park Road. So now expect to see a convoy. I don't know. Since I'm on the phone, I don't know what you're seeing right now as far as video, but expect to see a convoy with armored vehicles probably secured, moving this guy. I mean, he's only 5 feet tall and 120 pounds. Yet this man is going to have more protection.
I can tell you
and
one
more
off there.
than probably some of the biggest, potentially most physically dangerous inmates that they may have.
I'm from Massachusetts.
They're going to make sure.
Let's see that corn. Throw it up.
And
I love it.
What I started to think of was the relief that the Brandau family must have.
Excuse me.
Terrified those children must have been during this entire search. Cavalcante's victim, of course, I'm referring to her family. She was, murdered in 2021. And, her sister Sarah Deborah is her name, but her sister Sarah had done several interviews talking about how scary it was for them. And initially, when he went missing, or should I say escape rather, they put protection for the family members of the victims, her family, but also the people who testified against him too. Because there are
I hope it goes to that dog.
Helping him elude capture back in 2021 when he fled to Virginia, that then were on the stand and testified against him, and they didn't know whether or not he was going to harm them. You know what? I'm getting another call I really want to take, Aliana. Can I toss it back to you?
Please do. You got to do your reporting. Annie, get back to us as soon as you can. We have a live look at the Unionville Police Station, where we will be carrying a news conference for you at 9:30 this morning. So please do stand by for additional news surrounding the capture of Danelo Cavalcante. Eliana, I was thinking as Annie was talking about, the danger posed there, and I guess we can characterize the murder in Schuylkill Township as a crime of passion. It was his ex-girlfriend, but how worried state police were that the
Dude, if he
violent
comes
felon was
here, I'm gonna
directed
try to
towards
meet
someone
him.
else he didn't know, just because he wanted to maintain his escape status and not be captured. And sure enough, under a pile of logs somewhere
Tell him
in
to
the
come to
brush of rural
Massachusetts.
northern Chester County, state police get a hit from a dog, and perhaps also using their tools with infrared technology that finally worked once the temperatures went down.
Well, and exactly, and you hit it right there.
You know what's strange? I always find this strange. I'm just going to stop for a second. I always find this very strange. I get some people that comment on my shows and they go, "Why do you always talk through the clips?" Have you ever watched any of the live shows? Everybody talks, even if we have any news coverage going in the background. You have to talk. If I don't talk, a couple things happen. One, you don't engage the audience. We have a live chat that I have to keep engaged. I mean, I literally just can't turn a news clip on and play it and not give any commentary or material to it. So it's always strange. I get like these off comments of like, "Why are you talking through the show?" Well, it's a live show. Like, I gotta talk. And have you not seen any of the other shows on YouTube that do live content? Everybody's always talking through them. It's always funny. It's just kind of a weird thing. Anyway, we'll get back to the video. I gotta
A lot
talk
of
to you.
people were nervous because of
What was Ryan
happened
saying?
with his ex-girlfriend, with that situation. I mean, when you are
Ryan was texting me earlier today. Sorry, buddy. I was so tied up today. So I was wrong, Brian. He was supposedly not in the end, not in the shed, but under a log next to it, where they had a tarp trying to cover it. The reporter was pointing out that the shed, as it looked, it was open. Thank you for clarification. All right, let's do it.
in
I'm
a
gonna we'll get
relationship,
into the
you're in a
press conference
situation
here in a
and there's
minute.
anger involved, and he's accused, or was convicted rather, of
I only watched a
stabbing
little
her
of it today.
multiple times in front of her children.
You-
It's a brutal crime. So
And the thing is, if I don't talk over it and I don't do any content, you can get demonetized for it. They'll take me off YouTube.
law enforcement all along were like, we cannot,
There's certain
while
rules.
we know that he's in Pennsylvania, we know that he's in Chester County, we know that he's in these areas, we cannot underestimate him and what he's capable of. So neighbors, of course, were concerned about that.
Thank you,
And
Autumn.
when you had that
Appreciate
run-in with the gentleman in the garage and he found that rifle, that intensified the fear, because now he's armed with a .22 caliber rifle, walking around Chester County, rural parts, again, his size, right? Can hide very easily. So this is something that people were saying, okay, now
Yeah, I think he was
he's
bit,
already gotten
Cater.
a hold
Yep,
of the van.
he was
Now
bit.
he's got a rifle.
I think
What
either
can
on
he
the
do
arm or the
next?
head.
So the fact that this
Yes,
is all
fair
coming
use. You
to
have
an
to
end
talk.
finally after nearly 2 weeks is such a relief for so many people right now. I want to talk about this this thermal technology that Chad and Annie were talking about with tactical teams, because I think for people at home who are watching and listening to this, they're thinking, crime drama shows and things like that. But how does this thermal technology come into play? Is this something that they're using with tools and devices from an aerial view? Is this something that they're using on the ground as we see them sifting through brush and that sort of thing here? How does that look?
Well, I can tell you that the state police will be talking more about that during the news conference at 9:30. They had said all along that we think we're having problems with it because it's so hot, and so everything is hot, and the infernal technology doesn't really work there. Catherine Scott has also been reporting on this all morning long, every morning throughout the week, and joins us live now outside the news conference with a preview of what's going to happen. Catherine, what do you have for us?
Well, we're just arriving here.
It's okay,
we were in
you're
the
here.
search zone earlier this morning, and we
All
were
good.
watching as law enforcement would be checking vehicles, and they had their flashlights looking in trunks of the car. So this was happening early this morning in that search perimeter, a really unnerving situation for the people who live here. But now we're at the command center, where there's going to be a press conference here at 9:30. It's set to begin. Let me tell you, this is a really different set of circumstances than how it felt yesterday morning around this time. Yesterday morning, we were also here for a 9:30 press conference. And that's when we learned more about how Danelo Cavalcante had obtained a weapon on Monday night, come in contact with a homeowner in an open garage, grabbed a rifle that had a flashlight, and a scope and ammunition and was on the run. You know, we've been following this obviously for the last 2 weeks since it happened, and we've been listening to law enforcement about the challenging circumstances that they've encountered in both of their main search zones. Of course, most recently they were in South Coventry Township, East Nantmill, Warwick Townships, but also over by Chester County Prison. I was there the day after he escaped, and we were there. You know, we have the morning live shots. It's overnight hours. We pulled into across from Chester County Prison, 3:30 in the morning. It is pitch black there. You can't see anything off the road. So, and of course, they're dealing with these hot temperatures. They're dealing with challenging terrain. When they were over by Longwood Gardens, there were tunnels. There were so many different ways out. And the state police have said over and over again that no perimeter is 100% secure. And so even though they were throwing all these resources at this, he was able to get away. And they weren't helped by the weather. They weren't helped by the terrain. There are some waterways in the search zone that they were concentrating on over the last few days. So we're waiting to hear more about exactly what happened. But we know early this morning that the equipment was all in place. The helicopter from state police was in the air looking for different hits from their
Okay,
infrared
thank you, Bob.
technology, seeing if they could find more about
No, Carrie. Boom.
able to evade capture
I love
for
it.
the last 2 weeks now, but now we know that it's over and that he's in custody. And
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Get underway at 9:30. They've been very prompt with the press conferences, so we're hoping to learn more exactly about what happened pretty soon.
Catherine, thank you so much for that live report, and we will stay with Catherine as this news conference develops. That again, we're expecting that at 9:30 with Pennsylvania State Police.
All right. Well, Annie McCormick has just given us more information. It doesn't get any odder than this. Danelo Cavalcante was found wearing an Eagles sweatshirt when he was captured this morning at about 8:14. He's changed clothes at least once, and now we know twice. First with that,
hide your kids, hide your wife.
You see right there, and now it's a coincidence, but one to be noted. On the day before the Eagles home opener, the most sought after person in the entire state, if not the entire Northeast, is wearing an Eagles sweatshirt.
Yeah, and
look at the terrain they had to go through.
They would not say whether someone is helping or was helping Danelo Cavalcante in his escape and continuous evade from police, but they had.
I'm gonna slow the chat down a little bit.
In a way,
I'll slow it down a little bit.
All of us reporters who were there at that news conference on Monday to
thank
say,
you all
so
for being here and chatting so fast. We love it.
Helping him, and we know
but I'm going to slow it down a little
Danelo
bit.
Cavalcante's sister is now in the deportation process.
Oh, so she did get deported.
And was not cooperating with law enforcement at one point, and was not necessarily not assisting Danelo Cavalcante. They would not confirm whether she is or is not assisting him. So we feel and know that there may have been someone helping him.
Chopper 6 is now live over Route 100 in Chester County, and what you see is the vehicle we believe that Danelo Cavalcante is in.
Oh, yeah, this is funny. Hang on.
The most protected prisoner in the entire country, perhaps, in that vehicle right now. It is heading down to Route 1's, one of the major arteries down there, to head to the state police barracks in Avondale, where our reporters say Cavalcante will be examined. If he needs some medical treatment, he might get it there, or he might go to one of the nearby hospitals there.
Ollie, you still in the chat? If you're still in the chat, can you drop your Instagram link again? There was a couple people asking about it. They want to follow you on Instagram. I don't know if you're still here. If not, I'll seek out his Instagram link after when we get into the show a little bit further. I wanted to show this really quick, though. I thought this was funny. I don't know if Ollie's still here, but someone had pointed out, if I can get this picture to work, Mary actually pointed this out, but I don't think the picture is going to work. Shit. Let me see. Yeah, I got it. This is funny. So Mary said, hey, I was looking at one of the guys that, no, yeah, throw it out there as many times, Ollie. It's perfect. You can do whatever you want. Mary said that this guy to the left, it looks like me. That's me. I caught him.
had your kids, had your wife.
Dude, that's me. Look. Wait. Just need a bandana. It's great, right? Doesn't that look like me? It's me. It's good stuff. I love a good laugh. That was great. Thank you for sending that, Mary. That was great.
Aliana, one of the other things that we might
Yeah,
want
my
to
secret
emphasize
life.
that Annie told us is that when Cavalcante was found, we were wondering what types of injuries he may have.
Yeah.
Was he indeed shot or not during that confrontation a few days ago? She said at the
Look at
very
this
least, it
vehicle.
seemed
Look
like
at that
he had
TAC
some
vehicle. Shit,
wounds,
huh?
some bloodied areas on his head.
That
Yeah,
thing's
and then
serious.
Annie did also mention that there were some reports that a dog was part of the tactical team that captured Cavalcante this morning.
Yeah, right?
And that dog had gotten a hit, and there's
That
some
dude
reports that
definitely,
maybe
he definitely
was
dyed his
bitten
beard.
by the search dog.
All good,
So
though. We love it.
still
We
need to
love
find
law
out from law
enforcement.
enforcement
Good
if
job,
the
guys.
blood that we're seeing
Yes,
on
the
Cavalcante
magic
this
corn
morning during
worked.
his arrest is from maybe the
And it can
dog,
be
or maybe perhaps
yours.
from
Just
the 8
hashtag
shots that
corn.
the
We'll get you
homeowner fired in East Providence or
entered
South
into the
Providence Township
contest. We'll
on
rub the
on
magic
Monday.
corn.
So
This is the
again,
corn
we're
that
still
caught
trying to find out
Danelo
information about
Cavalcante.
his physical appearance, whether he's going to need medical attention, and of course more on all of this capture and how he was able to evade. I have a good feeling that we will learn some more information about
That
who,
guy ain't
if
saying
anyone,
anything.
may have been helping him.
You know, you've been covering this. Everyone knows how scared people were being in their houses, having to lock themselves up, lock up their belongings, their garages, the school districts, Owen J. Roberts being one of them,
Yeah.
having to cancel classes. So just to reset here, Danelo Cavalcante is now in police custody. He is in that.
All right, let's get to the presser.
Watching right now.
Let's get to the presser. I'm gonna
Route
speed up
100
here.
on
What's
the way
this?
To ensure their safety,
Let's
and they
speed up
did
to the
so
presser
at
because I haven't heard
sunrise,
the full
and
thing and I want to hear it. Oh,
change
wait,
of
to the show I'm getting out?
side of the road as Cavalcante is brought into the Avondale State Police
All
Barracks.
right,
just
we're gonna speed up a
speaks
little
to
bit so we can hear the
fact
presser.
that how
I haven't heard
terrorized
the whole
this
thing.
community was. People were
And I'll be
initially people were
quiet
going on
during
with their
it.
lives when they realized how serious the situation was and how impacted they could be. Many people were canceling plans, staying indoors.
I heard a little bit
I
of
know
it today.
personally,
Let's
as a
hear
mother
it.
with 2
Let's do
children,
the review.
I was making sure I
Good
was
evening,
double
Johnny
and triple
Blackhawk.
checking that all my doors were locked.
Johnny
Security
Black.
is armed. Everything.
Say that
because you
quick.
just
That don't
never know. You can't ever be that person to say it
You'll
cannot
trap
happen to
me.
me. And here we are with a live view, seeing police
Wait,
taking Danelo Cavalcante out.
Johnny Blackhawk. That's the you were down on the scene with JLR, right? Were you down there, Johnny? Johnny was down there with JLR, right? Am I right? Am I right about that? They filmed today, Johnny Blackhawk and Chuck. Oh, that's awesome. That's the guy? Yeah. What's up, Johnny? That's awesome, man. Hey, man. You did a good job out there, man. Hanging out with JLR. Some really good stuff. It's nice to see you in the chat, man. You're like a celebrity now, dude. Good stuff. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for coming into my chat, bro. That's awesome. Let me get to the super chat real quick. Ali Reza, B-Rod, what's coming over the next few days? Idaho 4, new cases. Give us a scoop. Yeah, I think we're going to get back to Idaho 4. I have two podcasts that I had on deck that was supposed to get done before this. So I do want to spend some time about Lahaina, what's going on in Hawaii. I had a really great show lined up for that. So we'll get into that. And believe it or not, Michael Jackson's case, the Michael Jackson case, has been revived. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And definitely there's been some new information in the Idaho 4 case. We know that there was a court hearing today of cameras in the courtroom. Unfortunately, I haven't had time to look it up. Maybe you all know in the chat. Are they allowing cameras in the courtroom? I haven't even had. I watched on my break today 5 minutes of JLR, and he was reading the live tweets. So definitely going to be getting into the Idaho 4 case again too. Yes, we're going to do that Lahaina because we need to get some attention on that. That's very, very important. It's very, very important. Ryan says you should have seen the girl that JLO pulled at Wawa. I would want to be a podcaster, Johnny. Johnny said, I'm still working on the Rachel Morin case in Bel Air, Maryland. Yes, that's a very, very important case. We've done some live streams about that as well. If anybody is not familiar, and I hope Johnny doesn't, so no, there are no cameras. Okay. If Johnny, I hope you don't mind if I can tell a little bit of your story. So I believe it's come to my understanding is that your daughter was the one that found Rachel Morin in that park, and I know you were talking the other day that she's getting some help now, obviously because of what she's dealing with, the trauma, and we want to send our thoughts and prayers with you and your thoughts and prayers with your daughter. And I think you did a great job out there the other night with JLR. So it's really good stuff. And I hope you don't mind that I shared that with the audience. Ali says, you know what they say about Jersey 6 is a Wawa 10. You hashtag YouTube celebrity. Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. All right, let's get to this review again. Nice to see Johnny here. That's nice. That's good. Good to see you over here, bro.
Right now, you see him there in what looks like some kind of foil wrap.
We're going to get back on Rachel Morin, too. We're going to do some more stuff on that case.
Sitting outside, lying outside,
because I don't think it's getting enough attention that it should be.
It really wears on you. It's not something that most people can deal with.
I know.
Trying to sit underneath a pile of logs throughout a rainstorm, which moved through at about 2 o'clock this morning, at least in the Chester County area. So that is our first moving live look of Danelo Cavalcante being brought into the Avondale State Police Barracks. Changed of dress, but still weariness.
I agree,
You
Karen.
have to imagine that law enforcement maybe were waiting for this moment right here. He is now out.
Yeah, Johnny. Why don't you do this, brother? Shit. Let's help Johnny out because we're all about helping the community. You got a YouTube page, Johnny? Okay, I see your page there. 81 subscribers. Come on. Those are rookie numbers. Let's give him a little boost. Go over and I hope this is the right link to your page. You doing content on there yet, Johnny? If one of my mods can grab his link and just make sure it's the correct link, because that's the one that I plopped in there that I think I saw. If that's the right link, I hope it is. Yeah, let's get him some subscribers, guys. Let's help him out. I think this is I think I put the right one in there. I think that's the right one. But if one of my mods can grab it, that'd be great. We can help him out, and when he starts creating some content over there, we'll get him some views. All right, let's keep playing through here.
Coming down. It is
we'll get to the presser.
And we want to take a look now at the news conference in Unionville. We just learned that they need about 5 more minutes, but we do see law enforcement and state leaders starting to line up to prepare for this news conference, where there will be a swarm of reporters and people asking a number of questions, but the ultimate goal here was capturing him, and that
no problem, Teresa. Have a good night. Thank you.
Colonel George Bivens is standing there, second person on the right. He has led this effort from the beginning. He has a long history in law enforcement and also a history of trying to find fugitives. So I'm sure that the state was very comfortable in him leading this effort. We've talked a lot about how he's taken a lot of criticism. You've watched some of the news conferences, and people have asked the questions that people at home are asking. Why aren't you find this guy? You have 300 people, and he is one person. But we've also addressed.
Thank you, Manja. Thank you.
All the things that state police were up against.
Okay, yep, that's the one I got. Good. Let's give him some scroll. Let's get him up to 100. He's at 95. Let's do that.
Wasn't working, and also Danelo Cavalcante's ability. Maybe perhaps learn while he was living in Brazil, where there are jungles, where there is heavy foliage, able to.
So in about 10 minutes, we're going to do the drawing for the magical corn can. I'll sign it. We'll get it out to
you know,
to a viewer,
being a
a lucky
reporter at one of
winner.
the news conferences and asking those questions, one of the things that I appreciated about Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens was his transparency. He was not afraid to go up to the podium and say, there were flaws in our perimeter. There were weaknesses in our perimeter, and we are now assessing those weaknesses. We knew there were going to be weaknesses. We had law enforcement officers, hundreds of them, surrounding this perimeter, but we knew there were
tsunami.
spots
That's
that
crazy.
were weak, and they're admitting that and learning from that. But as you said, they have, you know, he's got a history, a career of capturing wanted individuals. So we knew that, you know, I think the American public and the people in the community of Chester County had trusted law enforcement to find Danelo Cavalcante. They said on Monday he was growing desperate. It is no longer his game. It is our game that he's playing to, and we will find him.
Yeah, two priorities. Number one, protect the public. We were just talking about that. Number two, find him, capture him alive, and bring him back to justice. They gained their two priorities. They achieved their goals, and I'm sure that they're extremely pleased, despite the fact that this did take an emotional toll on people all of this time. Thank goodness it did not take a physical toll on anyone. There was that one incident where they came pretty close to someone perhaps getting injured. A homeowner shooting at a person in the garage, trying to steal a rifle, runs out of there. But again, everyone's
Yes,
okay.
mind you.
Everyone's
Hashtag
safe.
corn.
The only one who has to worry about anything right now is the person who's going back behind four cell walls, and that'd be Danelo Cavalcante.
And I do want to mention and get back to that statement from the Chester County Commissioner. And the part that we were mentioning is that they've made some immediate changes to bolster security in the prison. They've brought in security contractors to make permanent changes to the exercise yards in particular, and are reviewing and, where needed, changing procedures for both security measures and communication to residents who live close to the prison. So that those are the changes that Chester County commissioners say they are making to the Chester County prison to prevent this from happening again. But we do know that they've bolstered their communication as well. They had some reverse 911 calls that went out to residents this morning, notifying them that Danelo Cavalcante was captured. And we are just moments away from this news conference where we will continue to learn more about this capture.
Yeah, so you have the state police podium, several microphones on top of it, and then two posters that they just brought in showing the state of Danelo Cavalcante when he was brought in with state police in their tactical gear, their camouflage uniforms, their binoculars on their helmets. He is the one standing there all muddy, all wet, and completely exhausted from running from police all this time. Hopefully, we will learn much more about all the places he had been, the places that he intended to go, and how he got out of that prison in the first place. The prison is where this all started, and this pile of logs in South Coventry Township in northern Chester County is where it all ended this morning at 8:14, where they finally found this inmate, this convicted murderer and suspected of another one in another country. He was lying underneath that pile of logs, hoping that it would protect him from being discovered, and his hopes were dashed.
And as we're taking a live look at this pile of logs where he was found, have we learned if this is a residential property? Is this a at that podium day in and day
out? Are over. All those worries.
All right, let's get to the conference here. Okay, here we go. Governor Shapiro.
Work of law enforcement officials from here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, our local leaders here in Chester County, and from our federal partners all across this nation. Shortly after 8 a.m., our suspect was captured. I want to say, first and foremost, thank God there were no injuries to law enforcement or to the public. We obviously became deeply concerned after the suspect was able to steal a weapon. He was apprehended this morning with no shots fired. I want to say thank you to the dedicated law enforcement professionals from every level who each and every day go out of their homes, leave their families, leave their loved ones to keep us safe. The public over the last 13 days has had a chance to see what excellence in law enforcement means. what true, dedicated professionalism is all about. I couldn't be more proud to be standing up here today with these professionals from every level. And while they did extraordinary work, we had a tremendous assist from the public here in Chester County. I want to say thank you to the public for their vigilance. Thank you for the constructive tips that they shared. Thank you for remaining on guard. We recognize this has been a concerning and trying time for each and every one of you in the region. We want to thank you for your support of law enforcement and for your support of this effort that led to this capture today. I hope the good people of Pennsylvania, and indeed the folks all across this nation, got a chance to see how government is supposed to work, how law enforcement is supposed to work, where we all come together, where we focus on the mission. And while the women and men up here behind me may wear different uniforms and different badges, we were here with common purpose, and that was to apprehend this suspect and keep people safe. Leading this effort has been the Pennsylvania State Police. And I know I'm going to get booed by some of the folks behind me for saying this. I believe they are the finest law enforcement agency in the United States of America. And I could not be more proud to be the governor of this Commonwealth and to have the chance to serve in public service alongside these great leaders in the Pennsylvania State Police. Leading the effort for us is Colonel Christopher Paris, who did yeoman's work overseeing this operation together with Lieutenant Colonel Bivens. All Pennsylvanians, gentlemen, are indebted to you for your bravery, for your courage, and for your tremendous leadership. And with that, it's my honor to bring up the Colonel of the Pennsylvania State Police, Colonel Christopher Paris.
Thank you, Governor. I would like to make a few brief comments. I'd like to dedicate those comments to the victims of Cavalcante and their families. At the end of the day, all of the people behind me here work for justice and for the victims. A close second to the people of Chester County. We appreciate your support, and we appreciate the dedication that you have shown us and the generosity that you have shown us. We are in your debt. This was a major operation. We know that it has affected your lives, and we're very much appreciative of that support. I'd like to thank the governor and his support of us, not only with his physical presence, but his work in Harrisburg on a daily basis. I'd like to thank the Border Patrol, Customs, the FBI, the Marshals, the ATF, our federal partners, the Chester County District Attorney, Deb Ryan, and her Chief County Detective, Dave Sassa. Our municipal partners, too numerous to mention here in Chester, Montgomery, Delaware, and Bucks counties. We could not have done this without everyone. I would like to thank, from the bottom of our hearts, the members of the Pomar Lynn Fire Company. I know the media has been in and out of here. The hospitality that they have shown us, the logistics that you need to bring to bear in an operation like this, we would have been hard-pressed to do that without them being good hosts to us. Lastly, but certainly not least in any way, shape, or form, to the women and men of the Pennsylvania State Police, thank you. Thank you for your hard work and your diligence. This is my third manhunt with Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens. It's not lost on me that it was 9 years to the day yesterday for the Blooming Grove ambush. And in all of those operational cycles, there is no person who enjoys more of my trust and confidence. He was tasked with standing this operation up. My confidence in him is marrow deep. He is the consummate professional. And I would now like to turn it over to Lieutenant Colonel Bivens to give you the operational rundown of the capture of Cavalcante. Lieutenant Colonel Bivens.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Colonel. It is a true pleasure to stand here this morning and talk to all of you about bringing this manhunt to a successful conclusion and without getting anyone else hurt, most importantly. None of this would be possible without the support of this team represented by members of various agencies standing with us up here, by others standing throughout this fire hall, and by still more who are out there in the field. So let me give you a few details about how this unfolded. As you know, we have been working most recently in a perimeter established in northern Chester County. Last night, shortly after midnight, a series of events started to unfold. First, we had a burglar alarm at a residence near Prizer Road within the perimeter. Our people investigated that, did not find Cavalcante there or anyone else, but it started to bring some of our people into that area. We had been searching an area not far from there already with some tactical teams that night. There was an aircraft overhead utilizing FLIR technology, and close to 1 a.m. picked up a heat signal that they began to track. It was west of PA 100 and north of Prizer Road. Tactical teams began to converge on that location where the heat source was moving. Unfortunately, we had a weather system that also came in, and we had lightning that was flashing all around, and it caused the aircraft to have to depart the area. Tactical teams made a decision to secure that area, that smaller area, as best they could
at the top,
and hold it through the storm and until we could bring additional resources in and bring aircraft back overhead to ensure that we did not have an issue with an escape. That resumed early this morning, and shortly after 8 a.m.
It's 30 days usually, Barry. I've looked it up.
Converged
30
on the
days.
area where the
within 30 days
heat source was. They were able to move in very quietly. They had the
usually
element
within
of
30
surprise.
days. And it's 90%.
Cavalcante did not realize he was surrounded until...
I'm going to pause this so I can talk. It's 90% that the escapee is caught, and it's within the first 30 days. And if you look at the chart, obviously in like the 60s and 70s, escapes were very high and the capture rate was very low. And because of technology and everything that we have now, it's almost brought it down to 30 to zero, you know, that they get away, almost 100%. I mean, that they recapture. So it's 90%.
That had occurred
within the first 30 days.
That did not stop him from trying to escape. He began to crawl through thick underbrush, taking his rifle with him as he went. One of the Customs and Border Control teams, BORTAC, had a dog with them. They released the dog. Some of our PSP CERT members were also there, had him surrounded. The dog subdued him, and team members from both of those teams immediately moved in. He continued to resist, but was forcibly taken into custody. No one was injured as a result of that.
You're welcome, Barry.
Excuse me. He did sustain a minor bite wound. We had medical personnel at the scene, and they took a look at that. Cavalcante was, as I said, taken into custody. He was transported to our Avondale station for further processing and interview, and he will ultimately be transferred to a state correctional institute where he will be housed and begin to serve his life sentence. In just a few minutes, I'll open this up to some questions, but before I do that, I want to turn this over to one of our very close partners, District Attorney Deb Ryan. I know she would like to say a few words, and again, then we'll be happy to take your questions following that.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Bivens. Today is a great day here in Chester County. Our nightmare is finally over and the good guys won. We owe a debt of gratitude to all of the first responders for their tireless and dedicated efforts in bringing this fugitive to justice. They worked around the clock, and we are deeply grateful to all of them. Our community can finally regain its normalcy and breathe a collective sigh of relief. This would not have happened without the collaboration and efforts on behalf of a multitude of agencies. I need to thank the governor, Colonel Paris, Lieutenant Colonel Bivens for his unflappable and dedicated leadership, the U.S. Marshals, the Chester County Detectives, the FBI, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, the Department of Emergency Services, the Sheriff's Department, and every single person who went out into the field in the most horrendous conditions. We had weather problems, we had terrain problems, and a ton of obstacles that prevented our capture from occurring as expediently as we wanted. We have the best people in the business, and we never lost faith that this capture would occur. We knew that it was just a matter of time. The scope of this manhunt was extremely impressive. The brave men and women who went out there every single day are our heroes. And I am proud to be a part of this collective team of people who worked around the clock to bring this man to justice during this monumental challenge. They utilized every piece of advanced technology, dogs, drones, helicopters, every asset available was put out for this capture. I can't express our gratitude deep enough to all of them and to the community for their support. We received dozens and dozens of donations, well wishes, and kind support from everyone in the community, and we thank this firehouse for housing us. We know we disrupted their lives for a while. One of the first calls we made upon learning about this capture was to the Brandow family, who, as you can imagine, have been living in a complete nightmare. They are so grateful to the men and women who helped with this capture. They can now finally sleep again. I can't thank law enforcement enough for their efforts. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we will be happy to take your questions.
All right, let's try to hear these.
With the helicopter overboard, we saw the arrest taking place. There was some criticism about the photo op that was taken with the fugitive. Can you explain how that's actually a standard procedure, or what's the reasoning behind the photo op with the fugitive?
I'm aware that there was a photo op that was taken out there. Those men and women worked amazingly hard through some very trying circumstances. They're proud of their work. I'm not bothered at all by the fact that they took a photograph with him in custody. Again, they're proud of their work. They kept the community safe. I say thanks to them and good job.
Sir, did he say anything in the moment that he was captured and you released the name of the canine officer who bit him during his capture?
We will probably not be releasing the name. And in terms of anything that he said, we need to use an interpreter, and he has been taken back to the station. And at that point, we will attempt to interview him at the Avondale station.
Did he say anything upon contact?
I'm not aware of it. If he did, I don't have that information.
Your officers were authorized to use lethal force if he didn't actively surrender. Was the goal to always take him in alive?
That's always our first choice and preference. Again, that option is only to prevent the escape of a very dangerous individual. Had they not been able to contain him, that would have remained an option.
Who specifically made the arrest? Which organization?
It was a combination. It was
I think Tsunami, you're right.
Of, the Border Patrol and PSP.
When he went into the van, he was stripped and had his tattoos photographed. Is that normal procedure?
Yes.
When the thermal imaging happened at 1 o'clock, was he in the same location when you found him?
Wait, I'm sorry. You'd ask first, man.
Was he asleep when you found him?
He was proned out. I've not been told that he was asleep. I'm told that he was proned out trying to hide and then began to crawl away.
Was it the same location when you got the thermal imaging at 1 when you found him at 8?
It was in that close proximity to that, yes.
What was it? Whether anyone was helping him?
No one was assisting him at that point.
Sir, what was the agency that was flying the helicopter that first?
Let me just pause this real quick. Ryan said, no issue. Left this reporter in Philly. The reporter who interviewed me called the podcaster vigilantes. You know why they get mad? You know why they're mad? It's because for 48 hours, they dropped the coverage on this case, and the independent media got the jump on them. And I pointed this out, and I don't know if you heard it because you were out there. We got the jump on it. and they're pissed because they weren't first on the story. And that was one of the first questions that they put up there to Bevins. Oh, what do you feel about all these independent media being out on the streets? Do you think it's a nuisance? And he was like, oh yeah, well, of course. And obviously I didn't agree with that, but they're pissed because they didn't have the jump. And what happened was, it looked like this was going to go for a long time, so they lost interest in the story. But then when those little breadcrumbs were getting thrown out there, we started finding clothes, when he stole the van and they got the van, what did they start doing? They started showing up again, and they had to get their stock footage, their shots. And I go back to one of the streams where JLR was on, and he was, dude, JLR was there, dude. He was there fucking first all the time on the scene of when everything was going down in the heart of the action. And these mainstream media shows up and literally in one of his video pushes him out of the way to get a shot. And the cops literally tell the mainstream media guy to like back up with the camera. And the whole time he was out there, and this is what the false narrative was, the whole time he was out there, they were commending JLR for what he was doing, getting this out there, getting it public in front of the nation, getting it in public in front of Pennsylvanians so they can understand what was going on in the local area. They were saying, thank you for what you're doing. There were law enforcement officers out there saying that my wife and kids are watching these streams because they want to know what's going on. The wife and kids were watching the streams because they wanted to make sure that their dad or their mom was okay out there serving the public. So the mainstream media, they got pissed off because we were ahead of it. And there was probably more people watching those live feeds than they were getting on their broadcasts. So, that's how I feel about it.
Spotted the key.
That was the DEA.
JLR, and I were talking. We were talking the last time I talked to him live on air. He said, let me just talk about something for a second, because I had brought up about mainstream media not being there. And he said, independent media is the wave of the future. And I completely agree. We can grow these platforms larger than ever, larger than life. And people will come here because you're going to get unfiltered, raw emotion, news content. It's not driven by a political agenda. It's not driven by a corporate agenda. You're getting natural reactions to things. And again, I've said this. You may come here and hear things that you don't agree with that I say, but I'm going to try to give you the best coverage of every topic that I cover for you to come here and enjoy or be informed, All right, let's keep playing through this. Thank you for giving me that second to talk.
And that was a fixed wing aircraft.
Were you worried as law enforcement that you had to down the plane and there could be another chance for escape? I mean, that's obviously.
Yeah, Ryan, let me just get through some of these let me get through some of this first, and then I'll open up the phone line. You can call in. Let's do this. I understand we weigh on different political sides here. I don't want to get too political here because I know that I have, people that lean to the left that watch my show, and I have people that lean to the right. I am very transparent about where I stand politically. I'm center right. Let's just try to keep, some of the politics stuff out of it. But if you want to let us know what they were saying to you, absolutely, you can call in and let us know. But let's not get into a political war. But I'll open the phone lines up to you in a minute. Just let's get through some of this here, the questions, because I do want the audience to hear the questions that they took, and we'll do that. So just give me a moment here.
Obviously, the plane had to land, but what kind of risk did you have to calculate with that?
Well, as I've told you throughout this investigation, there are always things we have to contend with. Everything isn't scripted and doesn't go perfectly. And so it's just another challenge.
We hear from Ryan in a moment.
I don't think it's the word that I would use. We simply had to adapt. And so we secured that inner perimeter while always keeping our outer perimeter secure.
Probably lean a little
so
bit
that
more
if he did manage to get out of that inner, we would box him in yet again.
How tough an adversary was he? You've led some very high-profile debate methods. How tough an adversary was he?
Yeah, no problem,
I don't know that he
Donnie.
was particularly skilled. He was desperate.
I want to hear what Ryan, what they were saying to Ryan. I think I'd be curious to see how they were, what they were talking about to him. But let's try to, we'll keep the politics out of it tonight.
And I've said that all along. You have an individual whose choice is go back to prison and spend the rest of your life in a place you don't want to be, or continue to try and evade capture. He chose
I got a
the
whole
evade
issue
capture.
on weed.
Y'all
been
shape,
duped.
obviously.
Y'all
able
been
to climb,
duped.
as you saw, to get
Letting
out of
the
prison.
government take over the weed.
But ultimately,
y'all been duped.
As I said all along,
I
we
don't
had an
smoke,
amazing
but
team
y'all been
assembled
duped.
here, capabilities that are just very formidable. And I was confident all along that he would eventually be captured. And ultimately, this team, and I credit all of them for bringing together their collective experience, the resources, and being able to apply that and capture him. It's never easy to find someone who doesn't want to be found in a very large area.
Previously, you said you were reserving comment on if anybody was helping him throughout the search. I know you said no one helped him this morning. Can you say now that he's in custody?
I completely agree, Pickle.
These last 13 days?
There were people who were intent and intended to assist him. We had been successful, to the best of my knowledge, we had been successful in preventing that assistance from reaching him.
Does that include his sister?
Yes.
There had been some frustration, some criticism from the public as this was stretching on. Now that it's over, do you consider this anything other than a success?
No, it was absolutely a success. And I got to tell you, I think by and large, the public stayed amazingly supportive. I had some third grade students stop by yesterday.
It's funny. Krista says, when the government realized how much money Colorado surplused in the first year of legalization, wow, they wanted it on that so bad. Well, the funny thing is, there's a podcast out there, and I think it's from like 5 or 6 years ago on Joe Rogan's channel. We know he's pro pot, and whatever. If you want to smoke your brains out, have a good life. I don't support weed. I think there's a lot of misconceptions around it. That's just my personal opinion. But I think that it's awfully funny that the government they taxed it. I think you're being duped at these dispensaries. You're being duped. I'm telling you, they're overcharging you. They're taxing you. Believe me. You don't think they're putting funny stuff in that shit? Believe me, they are. But anyway, what was it? I don't know the relative numbers, but it was millions and millions of tax dollars in the first year that Colorado legalized weed. It was like hundreds of millions of dollars or something like that. And there was like reports that came out that only and I could be wrong on the numbers here because I have to go back and watch and I don't want to get into a weed debate tonight, but it was like, where did all that tax money go? And that was basically the point. And I forget who was talking with him about it, but it's on a Joe Rogan podcast. You can look it up. And they debated it. And Joe actually was like, oh, no, it's not true. And come to find out, when they actually Googled it, it was like, where did all that money go? So I'll say this. If you're going to smoke weed, I would say grow your own. Don't go to dispensaries. Don't support them. They're just duping you, bro. They're duping you. All right, let's play this a little bit more. I'm going to let Ryan call in. Oh, shit. We're going to do the corn giveaway. Let's do that real quick. Corn. Let's do some corn giveaway. All right. I got 49 entries. That's too fucking low. Okay, too fucking low. If you want to get in on the game, I'm going to give away the magic can of corn tonight. I'm going to sign it, send it out to a lucky subscriber that wins. Hashtag corn will get you entered. We'll give it a 2-minute runoff here. Let me get my timer. I'll give you 2 more minutes if you want to get entered into the contest for the hashtag corn. That'll get you in. We'll get this sent out to you. Let me get a stopwatch here. All right, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Hashtag corn. We'll sign this for you. This is the corn. This is the lucky corn that I brought out last night. the DeMonte's can of corn. We rubbed it. We act like it was the magic 8-ball, and we asked it, are they going to catch Danelo Cavalcante tonight? Are they going to catch him in the next 24 hours? And guess what happened? Guess what happened? By the power of Colonel Corn, this is the corn that gave the officers luck, and it worked. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to sign it up, and we'll get this out to a lucky subscriber. So hashtag corn. We got about another minute and a half, and then we're going to do the drawing. And then we're going to play a little bit more recap. I'll get Ryan to call in, and then we'll round up the show. All right, we got one more minute, and then we're going to close it up, and then we're going to do the drawing. One more minute, and we're going to do the drawing. About 45 seconds. Hashtag corn, 58 entries. And then we'll do a little bit more review, and then we'll have Ryan call in, give us the lowdown on what the reporter said to him when he was boots on the ground down there, and what they said to him. He said they were vigilantes. Vigilantes. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. We're going to do the drawing. We're going to do the drawing. All right. Here we go. For the lucky can of corn that I'm going to sign and get out. Here we go. And the winner is Hideki. Hideki is the winner. So what you need to do, sir, is email me at Let's Talk Live Podcast. Let's Talk Live Podcast, and we will get the lucky can of signed corn out to you. The memento from the LTL podcast. If you are in the chat, let us know. And then if he doesn't respond, what I'll do is next show by tomorrow night. If he doesn't respond by tomorrow night, I'll do another poll and we'll give this out during tomorrow night's show. So if he's watching this, send me an email. Let's Talk Live Podcast. I'm going to do something to vet who you are, and then we'll get you vetted. And if he doesn't email me by tomorrow night, I'll put it back up and we'll draw it again. Okay. Good stuff. Let's go back here for a little bit more review, and then I'm going to have Ryan call in, then we're going to round up the show.
And drop off letters and notes of support for all of these responders. We put them out for them to see at briefing time and things. That's the kind of support we saw from this community. There will always be criticism. There will always be people who think they can do this job better, and they're entitled to that opinion. What I would tell you is, again, I put my faith in this group of experts, this group of seasoned law enforcement professionals, the dedicated men and women, not only of the Pennsylvania State Police, but of all of the other partner agencies who went out there every day. I'll put my money on them any day of the week, and I believe the community supported them and continues to.
Will he be charged with escape, and when will those charges be filed?
We'll be discussing with the district attorney what, if any, charges will be filed. But for right now, again, there is a commitment, and he is going to begin serving his life sentence at a state correctional institution.
He was his sister now.
She is in the deportation proceedings. That will proceed as had been initiated.
Cavalcante got the Eagles.
I'm sorry?
You know where Cavalcante got the Eagles hoodie from?
I do not.
Other than the rifle, what did he have with it? Did he have anything else?
Just the clothing and things that he was wearing.
Did he attempt to shoot? Did he attempt to try to disengage?
He did not have an opportunity to, no,
How
sir.
many officers were on the ground as confirmed?
I don't have an exact number, but looking at the teams we were sending in there, in the immediate vicinity was probably 20 to 25.
And can you tell us more about what those armor? What?
Yes, they were tactical. They were a tactical team. You would expect camouflage, full armor, long rifles, that kind of thing.
Which agency?
Customs and Border Patrol was their BORTAC team out of El Paso, and then Pennsylvania State Police CERT.
Oh,
It's
El
our
Paso.
special
Wow.
emergency response team.
Colonel, once on the ground, they've now pinpointed him, right? They're
Yes.
on the ground and they're quietly moving into place. Length of time?
From that point, probably 5 minutes. It played out fairly quickly. Once they had identified him and moved in, he detected them at that point once they were already in position. And again, he started to crawl away, and it played out very quickly then.
Sir, what is your greatest lesson from this 14-day manhunt?
You know, I don't know that there's any single lesson. I will tell you that I learned something from all of these. And as I told you before, I bring that experience to the next one. And so I just go back to, it's all about the team. It's about assembling the right group of people, the right technology, the people with can-do attitude who will stick with you through the investigation. And that's what we did. And it's worked well for us in the past, and I'm sure will work well for us in the future.
Colonel, said the people intending to help. I just want to see if we can get a little more detail from you on that. You did mention, you did confirm the system was intending to help. Who else might have been intending to help? And can you give us any details?
And the reason I'm not going to talk about that again, as I mentioned, we will be discussing with the district attorney whether there will be any additional charges. I don't expect that there will be on that aspect, but we want to have that discussion before we disclose anything else. No, I think he stopped because his normal pattern was to travel in the late evening, earlier overnight hours. Whether he got tired or whatever, normally he typically didn't travel then later at night, and he typically did not travel during the day unless we pushed him. And we did have several instances of that where he was pushed and had to move. But, he doesn't have night vision or anything like that, the type of technology that many of our operators had out there. And so traversing rugged terrain is difficult to do. I believe it was just easier for him to do in the late evening hours and late afternoon. I believe that's what caused it. It was a scalp wound, and they bleed pretty significantly. I'm told there was not any significant injury.
Did he have a phone?
Just one, ma'am. No, I mean, all along, we asked people to secure as best they could. Unfortunately, he was still able to acquire some of those things. Again, those are just some of the challenges we deal with in an investigation like this. Our people rise to those challenges, and ultimately, again, he was successfully captured.
I know that you led the effort also in July earlier this year when that person escaped using bed sheets. It was a chocolate lab that ultimately led to his arrest, and now here we are again. You're talking about a canine moving in and basically disabling Cavalcante. Can you just kind of talk about the having canines and their use and how much of an asset they are when you're trying to navigate tough terrain and track down dangerous people?
Sure. I mean, in the case of Tucker, he was kind of a civilian. I would say we deputized, and brought him in. He's now an honorary member of PSP, but lab. But he was not involved in this. That was in Warren that this gentleman was referring to. Just, I believe there's a Shepherd or a Belgian Malinois. Just 1 minute, if I can come back to this gentleman, I apologize. In any event, canines play a very important role, not only for tracking, but also for, just like in a circumstance like this, safely capturing someone. Far better that we're able to release a patrol dog like this and have them subdue the individual than have to use lethal force. And so, again, our preference is always to use other means. Canines play a very important role.
For those of us who aren't familiar with the area, can you tell us a little bit more about where he was? It appears to be in front of a commercial building. Was he hiding with this building, or he was?
He was in the wooded area, again, west of PA 100 there.
I'm sorry, west of?
PA 100.
Are you aware of how he was getting nourishment and, liquid?
No, that'll all be part of the interview we'll attempt to do. Whether he'll talk to us or not, that's obviously entirely up to him. But that will be something that we'll be asking.
Sir, at this juncture, can you release where he worked in Chester County prior to his 2021 arrest for homicide?
Unfortunately, I don't have that the list of those locations. I know that he did a variety of jobs installing flooring, but I don't have the specific list of work locations.
How long will he be at the Avondale Barracks?
Long enough for us to process him, and however long an interview lasts with him. I don't expect it to be for a very extended period of time, and again, at that point, he'll be transported to an SCI.
Sir, is there any concern that he would team up with another small man to step inside the trench coat, Little Rascal style?
No.
More detail on the actual encounter with the dog. Did the dog tackle him, bite him?
Again, I didn't see the specific capture. What I would tell you is the way those dogs are trained is to simply go to the person. They will grab whatever is closest for them to grab, and then they are trained to detain that individual. They don't just keep biting and releasing or trying to cause additional injury. They simply grab onto and try and hold that person in place until officers can get there. So that's why they're never released, at some great distance or unsupervised. There are officers close by who can then move in. The handler can immediately pull the dog back off of they give them a command, pull the dog back off, and then officers take over from there. He did.
You mentioned
I don't have the name right now.
Was there any body cam footage or doggy cam footage in the situation of him getting the arrest, of anything happening?
Not that I'm aware of,
And
sir.
then secondly, Border Patrol, are they here?
Yes.
Can we talk about the expertise of Border Patrol being here to make that arrest?
Do you want to?
What your experience played and how that made if you could step up?
Sure. Now, Border Patrol is trained in tracking and pursuing. From the time an agent comes on duty, assigned to the southwest border, they get lots of experience tracking and trailing people. And then with our technology and other resources that just aids in the searches like this one.
Different terrain than normally what you're working on, correct?
So Border Patrol is assigned to both the northern border and the southwest border. So we got training and experience in all types of terrain.
Tell specifically what you did here. What did you do here to capture this man?
We assisted the federal, state, and local partners with our resources, whether performing observation at night, searches during the day, searches during night, and then obviously we had our tactical teams here.
Question for Governor Shapiro. Governor, yesterday you described just not 24 hours right here that you were calm and that your commanders over this operation were also calm. In hindsight, how did you balance the obvious pressures from outside that were forever saying, fighting against it?
Look, we had a job to do, and that was to capture Cavalcante. And I had the absolute best team working on this. I'm proud to be associated with the Pennsylvania State Police and all the law enforcement leaders who were behind me, federal, state, and local. We knew we had the best, and we knew, as Colonel Bivens said multiple times, he was desperate, and it was just a matter of time. I couldn't be more proud of them. And I want to come back to two questions over here that are related to Mr. Holden's question. One was about the assets that we deployed beyond the people. I hope that the public takes great pride in the technology, in the canines, and in all of the assets that were brought to bear here. We ask a lot of the public through their tax dollars to support the police, to support law enforcement at every level. And they got a front row seat here in Chester County and across Pennsylvania to see the extraordinary work not only these individuals do, but the great technology we're able to bring to bear to ultimately capture dangerous suspects like this. The public should take great pride in that. And then to the gentleman's question there in the suit, folks, whoever had their...
Krista, if you're still in the chat, I got your email. Thank you so much. I'll check that out later. Thank you. And Mary, thank you again. Thank you.
Eagles hoodie stolen. If you could let us know, I'll do my best to get you one of those new Kelly Green ones, okay?
Governor, can I just ask you, 2 escapes, 2 different individuals from the same prison in the same year. What do you say to people who live in this area and say, what is happening at the Chester County Prison, and what are you guys going to do moving forward to try and prevent this kind of thing from ever happening again?
Here in Pennsylvania, our system may be a little different from other states. We have state correctional institutions, and then we have county jails. In this case, the Chester County Jail is run by Chester County officials. They'll answer those questions as to what occurred and what changes are ultimately going to be made. Certainly, the State Department of Corrections will be here to
Some
assist
photos I'll
in
bring up
any
after
reviews
for-
or in any other work that they need done to make sure that that facility is secured. They obviously...
Oh, Hideki's back. Hideki, you won the can of corn. So you can either take it, or if you want to pass it up to you, but you won the can of corn. All I need you to do is email me at letstalklivepodcast@gmail.com. I just got to get an address to you, and we'll get this sent out. So it's up for yours for grab. If you don't want it, then I can do another drawing in a couple minutes here, and we'll get someone to grab this. So just let me know in the chat if you want it. I'm going to sign it, send it out. It's a little memento for our kind of stream that we're doing last night. Having a little fun with our can of corn. Okay, we'll keep playing through here.
Have a lot of work to do there, and I'm confident under the leadership of Chairwoman Moskowitz and District Attorney Ryan and other leaders in the county, they'll get that done.
Is it estimated that the cost of the manhunt is about $1 million a day?
I can't, put a price tag on it. We'll do our best to make sure that whatever
he's being kind enough to do another. Let us draw. So let's do this. If anybody was with us last night when we kind of started the goof. That's nice that you said that. But let's do this. So we're going to do. All right. Hashtag corn will get you entered. We're going to redraw it. I'm going to open up for the next 5 minutes. Hashtag corn. And then we'll do the drawing. Hashtag corn.
Be tallied up is and is shared with the
We'll
public.
do a drawing.
At the state
Hashtag
level.
corn.
I can't speak for our local or federal partners.
Governor, you mentioned the pattern of...
He was nice enough to give it away. We'll pass it on to someone that was here.
There were a number of things that we picked up on, and he didn't follow the same pattern every single time. Seemed to like to travel via creek beds.
Love it.
He
Love all
liked
those
other
hashtag corns.
paths of less resistance, wood lines,
18 entries,
power
we need
lines,
more than
gas
that.
lines, that type of thing. And that's actually fairly normal. Nobody wants to have to force their way through very heavy underbrush and things. And again, I
Thank you,
mentioned the
Krista,
time
for
of
the
day.
becoming
but,
a rookie member.
But all of that.
If anybody wants to join and support the channel, you can. Just go down there and click the join button. I have memberships. Yes, I'm going to sign the can. Of course I am, Sharon. Membership started at $1.99. That's less than a cup of coffee, and that helps support the channel and allows me to do great content like this. So if you want to support, please hit that join button. And I appreciate it. We got a new member. You know what we do for our new members?
Had your kids, had your wife.
Combined with some outstanding work and technology is really what brought this to a successful conclusion.
Oh, thank you,
Chester County
Krista.
are grateful for your
Thank you.
efforts. I know you mentioned on Friday you were asked about containment and capture. Ultimately, that tactic was successful. Anyone that you would like to thank at this time? I know Land Hope donated breakfast yesterday. Wawa has been big help with lunch. Any small
No
businesses
problem,
you'd like to
Hideki.
thank,
Thank
and then
you.
again, the people of Chester County.
I will tell you that we have been compiling a list, and I don't want to stand here right now because I will absolutely miss many. Some of those that you mentioned have been outstanding supporters of us, and I thank them. We will publish a list of all who helped us out because we are very, very appreciative. That level of support is really one of the things that allows our people to focus on the task at hand and to try and be successful even quicker than we might otherwise have to be. When I gave you all a tour of the facility in here, I talked a lot about logistics and the support that's required to field a team of 3, 4, 5 or more hundred law enforcement officers out there. It takes a lot to put it out there. And so the help of all of those folks, the help of the average person who stopped by and dropped off a case of water was very much appreciated, not only for the case of water, but also just for the kind thoughts of and words of support.
Hey, is there?
That they always.
That's a good. Buttercup makes a good point. Does JLL have like a post office box? I'd love to send. I'm gonna autograph if I can get away to him. I'm gonna autograph him a can of corn, and send him out a can of corn. I'm gonna do that for JLR. If I don't know if he has a post office box, but if someone knows the information for that, I'd love it because I'll let him know what we did, and Nick should be on that list too. And if I can get a can of corn out to Nick, I'll sign one and get one out to him too. I think that'll be great. And Nick should be on that list too. Yeah, Johnny says we all should be there. We all did help out. We did. Yeah, we did. We did. We all helped. Yeah. JLL will eat it live. Sorghum. It's sorghum. All right.
Included.
All right, let's do this. We'll finish this presser out. If Ryan's still in the chat, we'll have him call in. He's going to talk about how the mainstream media was treating the independent media down there. About another 2 or 3 minutes, I think, on this. Let's see. About another 5 minutes or so.
Drop that off.
You contained and captured, so that tactic was the way to go.
Yes, as I said, we always take a multifaceted approach.
Okay,
and
I'll check
so
that out,
depending
Lordy.
on the
Thank you.
circumstances, there's always a contingency, and we're always prepared to move in whatever direction we need to.
Were officers wearing body cameras and will that footage be released?
I'm sorry.
Were officers wearing any body cameras and will that
I don't believe any officers on the tactical teams had them on.
aircraft involved here?
Can pets eat corn? Okay, Ryan. Awesome. Thank you.
Aircraft was a fixed-wing drone helicopter. Also, the arrest happened in South Covington.
It was a DEA fixed-wing aircraft. I believe that's South Covington. I would have to look at a map. We were operating in several townships there, but again, it was north of Prizer and west of PA 100.
So where were you when this all happened? And do you have a personal feeling of satisfaction for 14 days of very long, hard work? How does this feel for you this morning?
I was here in the command post when the capture occurred, and yes, I'm very happy that this occurred.
Yes,
and
that's
that
Ryan.
No one
Yep,
was
it
injured.
is Johnny.
It brought a new level of danger for all of our people out here in the field when we knew that he obtained a firearm. And so, for me, the biggest sense of relief is that no one in the community was harmed, and no law enforcement officer was harmed either. So that's the win.
Sir, were you critical the whole time, or was he set up a base camp?
No, I believe he was more mobile the entire time.
Sir, what prison is he being transported to?
We're not releasing that, but it is going to be a state correctional facility. And once he is secure there, I believe they will release where he is being housed.
Colonel Bivens, you said that multiple people attempted to help him.
Oh,
Did he have any means of communication to reach out to those people and coordinate with them as to where he was?
He did not at the time that we captured him. Yes, ma'am. Well, as I addressed a few minutes ago, yes, he had the firearm with him. Yes, he was a threat. He did not have an opportunity. I believe he was taken by surprise, and I believe the canine played a large role in him not being able to utilize that firearm. What I would tell you is, again, that it is our last choice, our last preference to use lethal force. And so while there were other options, the team did the responsible thing, did what they're trained and what we expect, and they used other options. And again, lethal force is always the last option.
He's going in for questioning. What kinds of information you're going to be trying to get from him? Like what kinds of questions will we ask?
We have the criminal investigators that have been involved in this, everything from the escape up through the time that he has been on the run. I'm sure all of that will be included in their list of questions. Whether he'll choose to talk, I have no idea, and that will be his choice.
Can you assure and guarantee the public that this man will not escape again, because clearly he has the ability to do that? Can you say that now?
I can assure you he will not escape while he is in our custody. He will be turned over to a state correctional institution. I have every confidence that they will be able to safely and securely house him as well.
Lieutenant Colonel, was he in the perimeter of the perimeter that you had outlined yesterday? Was that?
He was.
He was.
Yes, sir.
How close to the edge of the perimeter was he? Where in the perimeter?
It was within the perimeter, and he would have been within a few hundred yards of the eastern edge of the perimeter.
Colonel, in terms of the public being involved, there was videos surfacing of vigilantes in Chester County trying to get involved in this case. Moving forward, if something like this happens again, what would you tell the public in regards to getting
Vigilantes.
I would ask them the same thing that I asked this time, and that is, please don't come out and try to be.
Wait a minute. So this doesn't make any fucking sense to me. This makes zero fucking sense to me. Okay. So these fucking media, these motherfuckers, these mainstream media says that there's vigilantes out there. Wait a minute. Let's back up. Did they not put a fucking reward out for this guy? So you're putting a reward out. You're enticing people to go out and find this guy. But now you're going to call those people that went out with their long guns to help aid and assist with law enforcement. Oh, those people are vigilantes now. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck him right where you know. Right where you know. Fuck that guy. And they call, and again, and I talked about this at the beginning of the podcast, the beginning of the show. They call the independent media vigilantes because these motherfuckers dropped the ball. And Ali Reza, thank you so much again with the 20 memberships. I appreciate it. Boy, lots of members. Thank you. Thank you so much. But why? Listen, we're adults. You know, you haven't heard the F word before. Come on. So you're enticing people to go out. There's a $25,000 bounty, but then you call them vigilantes when they're out there trying to hunt this guy down and exercising their Second Amendment rights and protecting their community. Also, on the flip side, you have independent media out there that, in my opinion, was doing a lot better coverage than the mainstream media, and they know it, and that's why they call these people vigilantes. Listen, if they actually had any issue with anybody that was out there, they would have put a curfew in place, and we know there wasn't a curfew in place. So fuck that guy. He can go sit on a tack.
Involved like that, you potentially take away resources that would otherwise be spent on the search trying to deal with those individuals, and we don't want one of them to get hurt unintentionally.
I don't agree with that.
Capture from where the burglary happened last night?
Within a quarter mile. It wasn't a burglary. It was an alarm, by the way. But
once processed, any idea in ballpark time until transfer?
It depends on whether he is cooperative and is interviewed. That could take minutes to hours, but I don't have the answer yet. Whether he's, I'm not aware of that.
Sir, do we know if his sister and mother entered the country via Puerto Rico as well?
I don't believe his mother is here, and I don't have that information immediately available here about where they entered. As I said, the sister, though, is in the process of being deported now.
We have time for 2 more questions.
Yes. Ali, thank you again. Another 10 memberships. Thank you, Ali. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you.
No. I'm confident they'll gather the information that we believe is important if they're able to, and I'm confident that
had your kids,
that
had your
everything
wife.
we need will be gathered in that way. There's no reason for me to have a personal discussion with him.
What's your message to anybody else who tried to escape?
Well, I think it's a very bad idea, obviously, and we will be here should something like this occur again. We'll put the team back together, and we'll be right back out after them. Okay. Thank you all.
All right, let's do this real quick. I'm going to show these photos. I'm going to get Ryan to call in. Ryan was down there. If anybody's familiar, if anybody's just coming into the podcast tonight, if you just subscribe, you're new. Ryan actually is in my chat. He was boots on the ground down there. He had a drone that was up in the area, giving us some aerial shots of what was going on, maybe some specific areas that Cavalcante could have been in. And he actually got interviewed by a mainstream reporter, and they actually were calling him vigilante. So I want to hear from him. But this was passed on from Jennifer Coffendaffer, and you can see the said selfie that was taken. I have no issue with this. I'm proud of that dog. I'm proud of that police dog. I'm proud of the officers here. And I don't see this as a selfie. I see this as an opportunity where they're showing the capture of this dangerous individual. So fuck all these people that say, oh, it's a selfie and that. The mainstream media, yeah, man, man, fuck off. I don't mind this. I think it's perfect. And I think this should be displayed in their home, blown up in a frame, that they captured this dangerous killer that was out there with a weapon. I have no issue with it. And I think it's a nice photo. You get the police dog there that actually caught I think everybody said the dog's name was Yoda. But they're verifying that this fucking maniac that was running around for the last 14 days, causing havoc in that community, spending multi-millions of dollars to capture him, to let the community know, hey, this guy is off the streets, and we are proud that we got him, and we are proud that we have secured our community. So I have no issue with it. Mainstream media can go sit on attack. I'm done off my soapbox. Ryan, phone line's open if you want to call in, buddy. Let's hear what you got to say, what the mainstream media said to you. And then we're going to do the last drawing, and then we'll wrap up the show for the evening. There we got Ryan calling in. Hang on, let me just fix this. What's up, buddy?
How you doing?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
Hide your kids and hide your wife.
Hide your kids, hide your wife, because they're coming after everybody.
So Pericles was a Greek Athenian politician in 429 BC. And he said that, even though you're not into politics, politics is interested into you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the description for a vigilante is a member of a self-appointed group of citizens who undertake law enforcement into the community without legal authority. Okay? Now, that's the gray area. Because if it's your community, they always try to teach us that, hey, you don't own your own kids. They're a community. Hey, you don't have rights. It's part of the community. And when people say stuff like that, like this guy who interviewed me in the parking lot, he was nice when he came up to me.
Of course he was. He wanted your story.
He wanted your story. He was, and I could almost egg it in like he was trying to. Oh, I saw you here with your drone, and I'm like, yeah. And he goes, what height were you at? I said, I was probably about 150 feet, and that's what most of the vegetation was in that area. That's because even when you have power lines that, they cut down the trees around the power lines because they get that high.
Yeah.
Now, helicopters don't fly below
right
400 feet unless they mean to buzz the trees, okay? And even now with the drones, they have reporting on it, ASB, and it's basically like you're your own tower. So everybody knows where everybody's at. The FAA made that rule a long time ago, so where you have to report in certain areas, they say enter at your own risk. And a couple of times I had to ask permission just to fly in the area.
Right.
And so they know my altitude, they know my position at any given time. And so he was trying to say, oh, you're flying in the area. I'm flying outside the area, but I'm flying in the area that nobody's looked. And I was flying on the other side of 100. And the funny thing was the helicopter went the other way, and they have to ask permission to get into that airspace as well. They're news reporters, they have to ask permission as well, okay? Just like, people reporting on, let's say, court cases and such. Later on, I got a call. I'm sitting at my desk at NASA working on a harness, and he starts telling me, he goes, so what do you do, and this and that, and what made you go down there? And I said, well, my son's in the next county.
Yep.
And I used to build helicopters at Sikorsky and Coatesville and drive back and forth to Wilmington, Delaware. And at that point, Longwood is not far from the border of Delaware. So I said, you know what, I know the area. This looks like fun. These guys going out, because I don't get to do the search and rescue because search and rescue takes, during the week, and I have to work. I work, so I was like, oh, it's the weekend. No problem,
Right.
And I tail every report that these people going into the property. And I'm going, no, they can't go on the property without permission. They shouldn't do that. They'll give everybody a bad name. And so, when this was all said and done, the guy asked me, so you think you're a vigilante? What do you think about all this? I says, why would you say that? I says, when you ask people to help out in search and rescue, you don't call them a vigilante, but because I come with a gun to defend myself.
Right.
And he goes, what would you have done, if you came across him? And I says, the first thing, if he wasn't non-threatening and he didn't have a knife pointed at me, I would have said, okay, I know where my gun's at, but hey, give it up. And then the first thing I would have done was called the number they gave me, or 911, which would have patched me in quick, hopefully.
Right.
Because how these tips go, how long they take to get to Avondale, or to get to this other place that they were posted up at. I said I would have called the cops and had them come in and just detained him if he tried to leave, or I would have followed him. And I said I would have been on the phone the whole time, And I said, look, if he tried to come at me and hurt me with this knife or come at me, I would have pulled my gun. You're right. And he goes, well, we're just trying to get to know people because this seems to be a normal thing. And I was like, I just have this ongoing thing where you can feel like they're losing their position in the world, kind of like Blockbuster. Like they don't feel their presence and people don't believe them much anymore. And so I wrote a song about the whole ordeal. I want to see if you wanted to hear it.
Yeah, man. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
See if you guys know where this comes from. It says, Delino's got a gun. JLR and Buttercup's got him on the run. Everybody is tuned in to LTL. PSP, you mean well. What did Chester Prison do? Nothing. That's how 2 got through. Delino's got a gun.
That's from it's Aerosmith, right? Right?
Yeah.
Janie's got a gun. Good stuff, man.
Me and Johnny Blackhawk were singing this as we were driving to the backwoods over to Zion Lutheran Church west of Phoenixville. Because when we showed up to Wawa, it was the only place open that had coffee and donuts. And they're all there.
Hey, let me ask you. Here's the thing, man. This was what bothers me, and let's go back to that vigilante comment. Okay, this is what really bothers me, and I see your take on this. So,
okay.
we've put a reward out there. We start increasing the reward. I'm sorry. So you went for what, 10,000? It went up to what, 20,000, 25,000. So you're enticing people in the public to be out there. You have the right to be out there with a long gun as a citizen, okay? But then on the other hand, you're going to start calling people vigilantes for being out there and protecting your community. So I'm kind of annoyed in the sense, now I'll make it very clear. I'm pro police. I love the police, okay? If I'm in trouble, the first people I'm going to call is the police. But I'm a little annoyed at the fact that Bevins got up there today and called everybody in the area vigilantes. You can't have it both ways. You know what I'm saying? What do you think about that?
The thing is, the people that are pushing that are the mainstream media.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't want you to defend yourself. Okay. Because if they do, okay, then it defeats their purpose that police have control over everything, and police don't. Police are usually there to mop up the evidence after it's already said and done. Without the input, without the alarms, without the tips, they would have been up shit's creek.
You don't think that
And
they
that's
weren't
probably-
watching some of this coverage? Of course they were. Of course they were. They were watching
Right.
us. You know,
And the drone that caught him late into the next day when it actually got cooler, so you could see the contrast, because he was hitting these creeks. If you live in Pennsylvania, there's a creek that goes everywhere and everything. That's why it's so lush and beautiful up there. Tons of creeks. And every time that creek comes over to a road, you have a tunnel that goes underneath. And it's not usually just a little pipe, because big trees fall down in those creeks. It's a huge thing, like a little bridge that he can hide underneath those. And I think that's where he hid most of the time when he heard a helicopter.
Yeah.
If you hide under those underpass where the water goes under those little streets, those little two-ways, there's tons of places. And those waterways go, if you follow the waterway from the church from where he ditched that van, you can follow water all the way to where he was caught. And go look at the area. Go look at Google. Go look at the photos of every little location around. There's camps. There's horseshoe walkways for horses. And I'll tell you what, everybody in Delaware and some of the people in Chester County, so you got the outskirts where you're getting close to Lancaster, they didn't give a crap. They had the garage doors open. They had parties going on. They had the Mushroom Festival. They didn't give a jack. But the one homeowners that were affected, when they drove by, me, Johnny Blackhawk, Nick the Hat, the famous Greek, I had Chuck there. We had a bunch of people there. When that was happening, that guy said to us, he says, "You know what? I got a bat, but I'm thinking about getting a gun."
Let me ask
And
you. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll let you finish. Then I got a question to ask you.
I said, so many people didn't believe in the gun. They say they harp against the gun, and they're using everything they can to take the gun away from any American they can.
Yeah.
Any reason, okay? I fought in countries where they didn't have that. Okay, I've been to Iraq. I've been to Afghanistan. My sister was in Iraq, and you start to see when you don't have a government, what falls and what stays true and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And it goes very quickly when you don't have rights. People can't defend themselves. So luckily, this guy that was a homeowner had a pistol on him.
Mm-hmm.
What could have happened?
Yeah.
He didn't. He broke into homes. And what's stopping the guy from going upstairs when that guy was calling the cops and flipping the light switch?
Mm-hmm.
It was the presence of the unknown.
Right.
Now, if it's New York, maybe that guy would have had a little more ballsy saying, "You know what? I bet you 50-50 this guy doesn't have a gun upstairs. I can, basically take over his family and get his money and his credit cards and his car." I mean, if he was really willing to fight for that, it could have happened. And there's nothing there's the one equalizer, and that is the gun.
Yeah.
And it's the person that pulls the trigger. It's not the gun.
Right. I agree with you.
Guys, this Brazilian guy, okay, they don't have guns in Brazil. Okay, what did he know? He knew about knives, and he knew about knives, unfortunately, too well. And he took that. I mean, they even said that he attacked the homeowner with a screwdriver. Well, screwdrivers are known for popping windows and pulling off collars off driving steering columns and using them to break into cars and take off with them. He just found a dairy van that was low on gas. They even said that if he would have found some more money and filled up that van, he could have been out of the state. Now, if he got in through Puerto Rico on a fake ID and got into the States and nobody said anything about that, then what's stopping him from going back?
Right. Let me ask you a question. When you were down there and you were on the ground and you were talking with a lot of the locals that were in that area, were you finding them, a lot of them strapped up? Did they have firearms with them, or they were just kind of casual watchers? Did you get a mix of it, like 50-50?
Who the people I was with?
Well, just in general, anybody that you were coming across, did you find out, did you see that they had a lot of firearms with them, the locals down there, or no?
Everybody there under their breath were like, "We're packing.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it." Because there were times when the cops just took off at 1:30 a.m. when they got that notification. Nick the Hat got it before 20 minutes before the cops took off at Longwood.
Hmm.
And I'm like all the media's left, like 11 o'clock, it's past their bedtime. Hey, we're going to the local hotel and we'll pick it up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And guess what? We stayed into the late and followed the cops to the next location. And we were sitting out there and it's pitch dark out there. There's no lights down the country.
Yeah, there's no street lights.
Well, there's no, the country is known to not have these kind of things happening.
Right.
Okay. It's only in the city. And they always say that, you come out to the country, you're going to F around and find out. And they mean that. And they want people to know that. And that's why they I think it's a show of force to say, hey, don't mess around in our town and don't try to mess around. You know what I mean? And they wanted to say, hey, look, we don't want this in the country. We don't want this. We stay in the city and do your crap.
Right.
Okay. You come out to the country, you're going to find out. And this 70-year-old man was able to put a couple down range and scared this kid off. Unfortunately, he got his gun. I don't know garage unless he had a safe in the garage. But either way, people are thinking that way. And when I was in pitch dark and Johnny Blackhawk's in his car sleeping, I woke him up. I said, "Hey, they're leaving us. There's no more cops. There's no more cops, man. We need to go."
Yeah. Yeah.
And the cops were cool. They came up when we got to the church where he ditched the van, like the next day. The cops were walking up to the neighboring houses and asking for footage. And right there on the patio and the stairs that go up to this man's property was the camera.
Yeah.
But it didn't work. And you know what he said to me? He says, "You got to get that damn thing fixed."
Now, let me ask you a question. When you guys are down there hanging out and whatever brief conversations you had with law enforcement or on scene, from what I was looking at, it seemed like they were pretty cool and they were pretty accepting. So that's why, when I look at this press conference and I listen to it, and listen, I don't want to get down on Bevins because he had a hard job. I think that this ultimately, got the result that everybody wanted, but he was saying that, they were being nuisances. And what I was seeing was it was just complete opposite of that. It seemed like law enforcement was very welcoming that everybody was down there.
They were nice. The cops, you got to remember, the cops will say one thing, and every time we asked them a question, they only gave the answers they were allowed to say.
Right.
Okay. These guys were sitting in their cars. A lot of them didn't have goggles. We only saw one guy with goggles in the 3 days I was down there.
Yeah.
And not everybody had dogs. They had to call Bortec, and Bortec trains with dogs. These dogs cost like $70,000.
Wow.
Okay, because of all the training, the feeding. I know because I was in Afghanistan. I had to sit. If you stare at these dogs,
You served.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
hey, Ryan, thank you for your service, bro. I'm sorry that I missed that. Thank you.
No. When I was in Afghan, I was a contractor. I was a field engineer.
Okay.
So I was the one sure that the Apache, the Black Hawk, the Chinook, when he got shot at, we fixed it and make sure he can go pick up the soldiers and go hunt people.
Got it.
And so I'm used to being around people that are going to hunt people. Okay. And so like all my family before me, we've all served, and we know Green
Thank
Berets.
you.
We know people that have been search and rescue. And a lot of the people that volunteer in Pennsylvania, they have what they call volunteer folks. Okay.
Right.
They have these blue lights that they attach and they put on top of their vehicles, and they volunteer when there's like a major crash,
Sure.
someone died,
Right.
to keep them down that road. They'll block off roads. They volunteer a lot in PA because it's so vast. They have townships.
Right.
And when you get out to the county of Lancaster, you can start getting away from Philly. You can see the difference because that whole area in Chester is very expensive. They have the farms there because of mushrooms and everything like that. But I'll tell you what, because the sad thing is the farmers in PA, they try to give these farms to their kids, and you know what they do? They sell them.
Right.
They sell them because they don't want to farm anymore. It's too hard. It's too hard to be a farmer to just, live off the land and I'm going, you got to be kidding me. Like, there's people like me that work their whole life would love to just have a farm out in there and have nobody report to and just live off the land. That's amazing. But some of these kids nowadays, they all want to be YouTubers, and no offense, they want to be podcasters
Right.
too.
Right.
Think how many people. We don't have mechanics. 50% were down to mechanics.
Yep.
We don't have construction people to build homes. And now we're having an influx of people coming to the country. It's like, who's going to fill the void? Well, I'm afraid that some of our, sons and daughters aren't going to pick up that torch because they don't think it's going to be providing enough to make it in this new highly inflated world.
Yeah. We got a lot going on, man. We got a lot going on in this country. I think there's a lot of things.
That's why people stood up, Brian. That's why people were there, because they're just tired of people making excuses. Because you listen to those police. When we started listening to because they're not just reporting on this; they're reporting on everything that's going on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
When you listen to that police radio, there was a little 3-year-old girl that got ran over by a car. This black guy got out of the car, looked at the girl that was just, killed, and took off. And people on the podcast were going, "Oh my God, that pisses me off." I think it was Rebel.
Yeah.
I was on Rebel's podcast because JLR or LTL at the time weren't on at that specific time.
Sure.
And I turned on the podcast and I listened to that. And I say, it's so common now. I'm near DC. I mean, I see where two 16-year-old girls fought it out over a McDonald's sauce, and one girl knifed her to death.
Yes,
what
I
is
heard
it,
about that.
Kids, what is with our society?
You know what it is, Ryan? Ryan,
Yeah.
you know what it is, buddy? And I've said this all along. Values like that are taught at home. Okay. And what's happening with our youth today is they're not getting those values. They're not getting that discipline at home. Now, listen, I had a father.
Those values.
Do what?
The media is slowly destroying those values.
Of course. Just real
town by town, city by city, state by state, bro.
Yeah. I had a fatherless home, but my mom stepped up and did dad and mom. And I'm going to tell you, I wasn't an angel. I wasn't an angel from like 12 to about 17 years old. I didn't get arrested, but I was an attitude kid. I had anger problems, stuff like that, that boys go through. But a lot of that was the anger and frustration that my father wasn't around. So I took it out on my mother, but she was strong.
I had a single mother, and when my stepdad came into he pulled me out of the streets one time, and I would have been either in jail or in prison. And I went to the military. I changed my life around. And when you're in the military, the first thing you see everybody do is they go to these phones and they call their family and they cry.
Yep.
They cry till the change runs out, we call it. That means when they run out of quarters, okay? When they run past their time limit. And then the next thing they do is they start going to church. Even if they're not religious, they go to church on the base and start crying.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's not a wet eye in the church, because you start to realize what is important in life than these things, and then what you can buy on Amazon or what's convenient. And slowly, little by little, you see erosion of society. And that's why those people were out. That's why I was out, because I didn't want this guy to hurt somebody, and I might have had a chance, maybe just to deter him from going this, maybe deter him from the people that were sleeping in this house. I would say, you know what? I got nothing else to do. I'll do an all-nighter. I've done guard. I've served. No problem. I know how to use a weapon. I'm not afraid, because if it's my time to die, it's my time to die. And when you're 45 and you're that age, it doesn't matter anymore. And the thing that kills me is there's people that watch things happen now and they turn on their phone.
They do nothing.
Doing something.
They don't do anything.
And then the people that do something, they end up in prison.
Yep.
In jail. And that's when we start going, wait, you can't defend
Well, that's
yourself
because when someone helps in a situation and that clip gets out, it gets to the mainstream media and they flip the agenda and they only play 10 seconds of the video. You're not playing the whole minute. We're learning that in our society.
That's why we used to see cops when they would put out the video. They got to put out the video so fast.
Yeah.
And they got to justify video so fast. Otherwise, there's a riot.
Yeah.
And they got to burn down the city just to make them feel better, because the emotions override the sanity and the reality of what's really going on. Their emotions take over. I used to see people like, people that, we follow, podcasters, people that are on the streets during the riots and everything. And I remember a little kid that was like 10 years old who was in the riot. He pulled a pistol on one of the guys reporting and clicked the pistol 3 times.
Jesus.
And said, "Get out, white boy, get out of here. I'm going to kill you." And all he was doing was trying to understand why they were, looting the places. They beat him up and almost tried to kill him. Now this guy, all these people now moved to, different states to try to feel safer, because if they defend themselves, they're worried that they'll go to prison.
Yeah.
And that's why these cops don't do their job and don't do enforcing or policing their area.
It's like the laws that they have where in certain states that if someone comes in your house to kill you and you defend yourself, or if this individual slips and hurts himself in your house while trying to kill you, they can sue you.
They can sue you in civil court. Like you can't even walk away with defend yourself, and that's what people are scared of.
It's
They're
crazy.
saying, you know what? The DA, depending on who voted that DA in and what his priority is now, you could be a prisoner. Now you're going to be the convict. Now you're going to be the bad guy, even though you've served your country and you've done your things right. I'll tell you the underlying thing that when I went out there was I was hoping my son saw me. Saw me on the podcast, or somehow it got out, because I haven't been able to see my kid in 3 years.
I'm sorry for that.
That's because the state of Pennsylvania decided that a grandmother was better off to take care of my child than his father could. The grandmother got a hold of her dead daughter's insurance money, which was into $180,000, and because I take a loan against my house, the attorney said I didn't love my child, and I had to represent myself, and I lost.
Wow.
And so now I $1,000 a month to a grandmother to raise my child. I work at NASA. I have nothing in my background. Otherwise, I wouldn't work at NASA.
Right.
And I found out through my mother, my son failed his astronomy and science class. This is where I would have helped him. I should have helped him in mathematics. I was good at mathematics. I was good in physics, science. And I'm not there to teach my son how to raise him to be a man in this world anymore. And we're taking away fathers. I think that's one reason. I think if this guy had a father, because we always brought up the mother, but if he had where's the talk about this guy's father? Where's the father in this guy's life that he would do this to a woman?
Yeah.
Where is the morals that would teach this man that there's another way and that your life will go on no matter what? And I've been there. I've talked with fathers all over, because Pennsylvania is not a 50-50 state, if you didn't know. And what I found out is the government can take your child away and give it to somebody else. They call it in the best interest of the child. And if you got money and you got a family member that's pissed off at you, you can lose your kids.
It's crazy. All right, Ryan. It's getting a little late. I'm gonna wrap it up. I appreciate. Go ahead, bud.
Love your podcast, buddy. I'll be listening more.
Yeah, let's chat again sometime. We'll have you call in, and I really love your take on everything. I'm sorry of your situation that you were just telling us about, and certainly want to commend you for your service to our country. We appreciate that. We appreciate your family serving, because it's people like you, it's Americans like you that put your life on the line for me to be able to be sitting here behind this desk today and having the opportunity to talk to you. So my hat's off to you for your service. We appreciate our servicemen, our law enforcement, and I appreciate and I appreciate you calling in. We've gotten to know each other over the last couple of days. We've been texting, having some conversations. And I appreciate all your boots on the ground coverage when you were down there and relaying information back here to LTL so we could get good, relevant information out here to the public. So thank you.
Keep our men strong, and always remember there's a father always waiting for his child.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they have to wait till he's 18, but that's going to be 4 years from now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, good luck with everything, man. And you're welcome to call in anytime.
Amen.
All right. Take care, brother. All right. Let's do this, folks. We're going to wrap this puppy up because we're coming on 3 hours. I didn't think we were going to get to 3 hours, but what a phenomenal call. All right. Let's do the redraw here. So let's give everybody about another 30 seconds if you want to get in for the lucky can of corn that I will sign and get out to everybody. This is the can of corn that captured Cavalcante. So hashtag corn will get you in. We'll do another 30 seconds and then we're going to wrap this up. I'll do the drawing and then all I need the winner to do is just reach out to me. Reach out to me if you are the winner. So hashtag corn will get you in. Can hear the corn still in there. It's the Cavalcante corn. I'll put it up on the mantle. All right. Are we going to draw this? We'll give it a couple more seconds. I see still some hashtags coming in. All right. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3. Who's the winner? Kelly. Kelly, you are the winner of the lucky corn. All we need you to do is email me at letstalklivepodcast@gmail.com and I'll get this autographed and signed out, sent off to you. So email me there. letstalklivepodcast@gmail.com. Hopefully Kelly is still in the room. And if she is, or if she's watching this back on replay, you are the winner. You are the winner of the corn, the children of the corn. All right, ladies and germs, we put in a banger again tonight. 3 hours. We had some recap. We had a phenomenal phone call. We had Ollie in the chat being very, very generous to everybody. A lot of new memberships came out. If you are interested in my membership only content, you go over the homepage and check out all the members only content. We're going to get back into the Idaho case. I still am going to do some follow-up on this. We'll give it a couple of days. We'll wait for some news stories to come out, maybe some new updates, find out if this scumbag had help. I do want to do my Lahaina Maui episode. I think that's important. I got to get that lined up again. So look for the tile, look for the thumbnail. We'll be back. I try to do a stream every night as much as I can. I don't know if Kelly's still in the room, but hopefully she gets this. And if she doesn't claim the prize by my next show, we'll do another redraw and we'll get it out there. Johnny Black in the house tonight. Thank you, brother. Thank you for your boots on the ground coverage. You were hilarious. We were laughing when you were out there, giving some good coverage behind the scenes with JLR. And if you talk to JLR, please let him know that I appreciate all his work. Congratulations on his 100,000 subscribers. And let him know that I said thank you for calling into the show. He didn't know me from Adam, and he took a few minutes on 2 different occasions to call in and give me some updates. So I appreciate that. You all are phenomenal. Thank you for coming over to LTL Podcast this evening. I'll have another show up probably tomorrow night. Let's see the results of our poll. I asked the audience, how happy were you with the way of this situation, the way it was handled? 51% who voted said 100% they were okay. They were happy. 75% at 24%, 50% at 16%, and 0%, 7%. All right, y'all, be good. I'll see you back here most likely tomorrow night. Look for the tile. We're probably going to do that that Lahaina episode. There is so much shit going on there. I can't even fucking believe it. I'm so unhappy with that episode with the situation over there. All right, y'all. I'm going to hit the outro. Get some rest. We'll see you soon. Bye.